gravy in there.
It's gonna drive me nuts. All right,
I'm a
go.
little bitch. I can't do it straight.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
Makes me feel better about myself.
You get some of those purists, though, that they get all hell-bent about that stuff.
Dude, can I tell you a story real
Yeah.
quick? So, my favorite steakhouse is in Ellis County. It's out there by where I live. Fucking great place. It's called Rustin's Cattle Company. Great steak. Good, not like $100 steak. Not like it's like that $30 to $50 steak, and then you buy your sides and shit like that.
Like a la carte stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Friday I was like, you know what? I'm hungry. I need to work on this little YouTube video thing I was working on, so I'm gonna go eat right now. It's like 4:30. They opened at 5. I got there about 5:30. Sit down, order me a steak, and I'm like, all right, can I get some A1 sauce? And they decided to stop serving A1 sauce at the steakhouse. And I know that that's always gonna be a steak person's like, jerk off motion, basically.
Right.
And I'm like, well, what do you have to put on the steak now? And he goes, well, we got Worcestershire sauce,
Yeah.
which is good. And he said, we got barbecue sauce. I'm like, you got barbecue sauce in here, but you don't have steak sauce, and it's a steakhouse?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, at least make your own steak sauce, like some kind of like sauce to put on a steak. Every $100+ steak I've ever had in my life, it's been by a chef who makes some kind of
Butter and Worcestershire.
butter or something like that, right?
Garlic.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so from now on, because they haven't always done this. This is just as new as like the last month or so, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, now I gotta bring a bottle of A1 sauce to come eat a steak now from this motherfucker.
Why? He's gonna get a holster.
But yeah, that just kind of like chapped my ass. But it's what obviously for the longest time I was a well done eater. Remember those days on the podcast?
Yeah.
And then I've worked my way down to the medium area. And I think medium's like a good happy medium of my past self and my new self. But how it's like, oh, you're not supposed to eat with steak sauce, man, blah, blah, blah. It's like...
My dad always ate steaks with A1. I didn't know any different.
Yeah.
But, if you looked at how my mom made steaks, you fucking needed A1. They came out of the package, they went on a pan, and they went in the oven. And then she just threw them in the oven. And they came out like these little rolled up cups, and my dad would just fill that sucker up full of A1, and you would eat
like
it.
A bread bowl.
Right.
Little meat bowl. Yeah, so you had to. And if I look at, I don't know, my parents, military, so I just always joke that we were all equally poor. Nobody had anything nicer than you did. We all lived in base housing, and you had same house, different furniture.
Yeah.
And I don't remember food being like it is when I moved here. And some of that might just be I was a kid and you just didn't know any different. But my dad never grilled out, I think ever.
Mm-hmm.
So
There's certain things that used to be a household meal in the 80s, and I'm so glad it's not anymore. Like manwich.
Oh yeah, right here, dude. Once a week.
I'm sure meatloaf is a delicious meal, but I was scarred as a kid, so I will never try it, no matter whatever the fuck reason.
I get it.
And stew, I can never do stew. I can't do wet like meat.
So no pot roast?
No, I'm not into any of that shit.
No kidding.
That's all it takes. Yeah, I mean, I didn't fuck with barbecue or a lot of meat when I first moved here because I was so scarred. I was like, oh, it's going to be like how my mom cooked that shit. Or barbecue in North Carolina is so different than it is here. It's like malt vinegar. They didn't smoke. Well, I'm sure they smoked the meat, but it was a lot of pork.
It's mostly
and it was
pork.
shredded and malt vinegar. And as a kid, I was like, no. And then I worked at one of my first jobs was working at a barbecue place where they slaughtered them in the back and then they smoked on property and then did all the butchering and cooking there. And I was good. I was good.
I think the barbecue thing's definitely gotten so ramped up recently, right?
Well, so barbecue has always been fairly expensive, man. But I went the other day, like $40-some for a pound of brisket. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
And I see Devin over there going on doing all these brisket reviews. I'm like, bro, like, how much are you spending on these things every time?
Well, I'll always buy a lot. You know, we went to, oh man, what's the place in McKinney? The barbecue place in
Hutchins.
McKinney. Hutchins, yeah. Finally went there because Corey was like, hey, you know, if you like Terry Black's. And for me, Terry Black's is like, if there's better barbecue, I'd rather not know. I'm just partial to their beef rib, and their sides always hit. So we went to Hutchins, and I ordered like, I don't know. It was probably close to 5 pounds of meat plus all this. And I was like, well, take it home, you know? Like, I want to try everything. I don't know if I'm coming back out here again. And, yeah, it was ridiculously expensive. And even when we were in line, like, people were like, bro, you're about to bankroll here.
I'm not ready for standing in line for food yet like that. It's like standing in line to get into a bar or a club.
I won't do it. I won't do it.
Like that in Deep Ellum, they have that one barbecue place that, was it Pecan Lodge?
Pecan Lodge, yeah.
Bro, never tried it. It's like they need to, I don't know, I'm just not interested in standing in line to do that stuff. You know?
We waited.
They're saying your mic is low.
My mic is?
Yeah,
Mine
volume. Like it's reading.
I can keep talking.
Yeah, we waited 3 hours, I think, when that place first opened. Got there early.
Pecan Lodge?
Yes, and then I don't know what they're smoking with, but it upset my stomach really bad by the time we got in there. And then we got in there like one of the first groups, and they, you know, out of ribs, out of, I don't remember what else, but it was slim pickings, but it upset both of our stomachs.
Wow.
And I never went back after that.
Probably just the heavy, whatever wood they were using.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Whether it was pecan or, you know, I don't know. But
If you think back to like your best steak you've ever had, can you say what that was today?
I've had some pretty good ones at Chamberlain's in Addison, and I mean some of the best.
My bad.
Some of the best steaks I've had have been cooked, you know, at somebody's house. Mm-hmm. You know, they've prepared them.
Yeah.
My mentor, he used to cook steaks on a cast iron skillet inside of his house on his stovetop range, and they were amazing. So some of the best steaks have probably been at somebody's house, but if I think about steakhouses, Chamberlain's was always good. Yeah. Always. Last time we went to Albernays for, I don't know, Valentine's Day, and then super disappointed. You know, I'm all thinking this is going to be amazing, and my wife's sea bass was better than the. I was pissed, dude. I was so mad. So I was just like, I just think you can do better at home. There's better cuts of meat you can buy now at the grocery store, and I don't think you have to be super skilled to really cook meat. I think it's just kind of in men's DNA.
Yeah.
That's true.
I mean, there's a reason we like being around fire. So,
What about you? You have a best steak you've ever had, Spot? You've been around, so let me.
yeah.
So honestly, if I had to sit back and think about it, and I know this is going to sound weird, but it was actually in Italy.
For real?
Yeah. I was working over there and went to this spot, and it was kind of funny because this is my first time in Italy, and I expected it to be like a restaurant here, so I like picked my main dish and ordered. Well, then everyone like starts bringing out all these dishes for everyone, and I've got nothing in front of me, and I'm like, what the hell's going on here? Well, it's because they have like 7 courses, and you have to order all 7 when you order up front. And I just ordered the one entree thinking that's all what I needed to do. No one told me. But anyway, the reason why I can sit here and say it was probably the best is because it actually had like real truffles like incorporated in on the steak. That's the first time I've ever had that, and it blew me away.
Wow.
What was do you remember do you think it was the cut or how
I think it was the truffles just gave it that extra, that taste that like I would never have expected.
So,
makes sense. Sounds good.
Yeah. What about you? You got one?
Yeah, Texas Roadhouse, dude.
Sawgrass. It's all about sawgrass.
I did have one time I was in Tracy, California at a Texas Roadhouse, and I was with my buddy Steve up there, and we were just so busy in conversation that we ordered a steak and we ate it. And we're like halfway done with it, and I looked at him and goes, "It's the best fucking steak I've ever had." And he goes, "Dude, I was about to tell you the same thing. It was just like something, they had a fucking G-ass cook back there. But realistically, I had a tomahawk, is that how you say it?
Yeah.
In Vegas once at the Caesar's Palace. And it was during SEMA one year, and like I said, they had their own sauce, their own shit for it, and it was delicious, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not a big fatty meat eater, So
I hate
I
it
like
too, yeah.
a fillet or, you know, a sirloin if I'm a little bitch.
Yep.
But man, I don't know. Like, I've had some, like our last trip when we went to California, we were running up the coast. We were in like Crescent City and some little bar, dude. Great fucking steak.
Yeah.
Just, I don't know. Like, I feel like it's just about someone that cares, like about what they're making. You know what I mean?
Sure.
The cut of meat and then, how they prepared it.
And honestly, like a good steak can just be prepared with salt and pepper.
Yep.
Like you really don't need a whole lot extra than that.
No.
It's that and A1 sauce. You eat that salad without anything on it because you got salt and pepper on it.
Makes sense.
Anyway, so motorcycles or some shit like
Exactly.
that. Dude, it's camp out week. It starts kind of now, right?
So pumped.
Oh man, yeah. I think the excitement was palpable last week. It's been a slow build the last several months, but last week the reality's really hitting in. My brother's been blowing me up nonstop about all the, got this, everything's ready, and so we're trying to help accommodate people, and if people just want to ride down there, and we'll try to carry as much stuff as we can for people. Yeah, I'm super excited.
I'd already taken Thursday, Friday off, obviously for work, but now it's like so now I'm already taking Wednesday half day. I'm sure by tomorrow it's going to be all of Wednesday off.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Well, we are kind of looking like we're going to get some rain here in Dallas Tuesday and Wednesday, but fortunately, a lot of the people I know that are coming into town, they're all getting like Airbnbs or they're staying at Trey's or something like that. So everything's pretty relatively close, so they can Uber different spots and come hang out and shit. So
Right.
I'm stoked, man. It looks like the weather is going to hold out for Moyers up there where
Yeah.
we're doing the camp out. So, which will be kind of a first because every year we go, there's like this impending doom storm taking
Yes.
place. And I probably just jinxed it just now, by the way. So I would click on this table, but it's particle wood, so particle boards.
Hey, take what you can get, brother.
Looks like we might get some rain on the way up again.
Yeah,
Which we did that last year, so whatever.
Shouldn't be too bad.
At this point, I just don't know that it would be a camp out if we didn't get rain.
True.
Or
Well,
some
I
kind of
wanted-
inclement weather.
I want people to embrace the rain.
Yeah.
Like it's part of traveling on a motorcycle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you try to like, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like it's very hard to leave your house knowing that it's raining outside, right? But if you're already on the bike and you go through rain, it's like it's just a part of the journey, right?
That's right.
And I couldn't imagine being someone that lives anywhere within the vicinity of this campground where it's not like you could be there in like 2 hours, right? 3 hours, Dallas, Oklahoma City, Little Rock, whatever, and deciding not to go because it looks like there's 40% chance of
No
rain.
way.
Yeah.
No way. I mean, I just drive.
Yeah.
I mean, if it bothers you that bad, just drive. I mean, it's worth it. It's worth just driving just for the experience.
Yeah.
And what you also have to realize, and this is more applicable to Texas too, is when it says 40%, it's not 40% all day or 40% of the day. It could be 40% of 1 hour, and it's still going to say 40%.
Mm-hmm.
So like you have to like look into the hour by hour too to see what it's actually going to be.
It's like you realize how many people don't know how to read maps because they don't look at the radar.
Right. Right.
Like they just literally like you tell them like, hey, it's over here, blah blah blah, and they're like, well, they're used to Google Maps like voice turn right, turn left, and I'm like, it's crazy how many people do not read maps, and it translates into weather. So most people don't ever look at the weather map to see like the radar to see where storms may already exist. And we live in a part of the country where you have a lot of like warm air and cold air meet in the plains, basically Texas all the way up, and so we get gnarly storms out here. But that's because of those two things meeting: the cold air off the mountains, the warm air from the Gulf, right? Mm-hmm. So we have days where it's perfectly sunny, and it says 100% chance of thunderstorms tonight, and you look at the radar, there's nothing, right? So to be fair, like that happens, but most people don't even look at the radar to understand where the rain's coming from. They just say, "Oh, it's a 37% chance." I've seen 70% chance, 80% chance, and still not seen rain.
Yeah, we'll never get anything.
Yeah.
It may be out within 40 miles of where I'm at. Yeah, absolutely. It's, be west of Dallas or east of Dallas, south.
Well, sometimes it's coverage too. So
Yeah.
40% is only 40% of Dallas. You could be in that empty spot.
True that. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. This year is the first year that I'm not just throwing a tent on the back of the bike with my gear and riding
Yeah.
up there, and that kind of settled into me.
What are you doing this year?
trailering.
Are you?
Yeah.
Well, I'm saying you're staying in the trailer.
Yeah. I stayed in it
are you still
year
in-
before last, but
You're not tenting it though.
No, which I was a little bummed out about. To be honest, because the last couple times going to like Born Free and the other campouts or some of the other rides I've done, it was, and big in part to what you guys have done. It's cool it's a cool experience. I think everybody should do it. Just kind of watching you go down to South Texas and just take your basic setup and, you did that vlog for it. That was awesome. I thought that was awesome. And it's cool to see more people doing that. And I think it's an experience I think everybody on a motorcycle should do. I don't care what you ride, but,
Yeah. What I would say, because that's kind of been doing this podcast last almost, 5 years right now, right? So you get these areas like, I'm into camping, so camping or fuck off, right? I'm into T-bars, so T-bars are fuck off. Like, that's a fault of mine that I've had over years, but it's because I'm just so enthralled with it that I love it. And what I think that as future Jace would say to all those first 200 episodes, that if I was going to tell anybody who's never camped or never traveled the country or never done that, just do it once. Try to do it once, maybe twice if you had a bad experience the first time. Right. Give it a second chance, maybe a third chance, right? And I'm not saying that you got to camp every time. Like on our big trips now, like it's very hard for us to camp because I have so much camera gear, so much shit on my bike. I have nowhere to put a tent, and I miss that aspect. But at the same time, like I've got to enjoy camping on all sides of the country, and I still do a camp trip every year, which I do stay in a tent. It is hard to say that it's anything close to like a riding, like it's not a tent I could put on the back of my bike. Like,
right.
I could park my Road Glide inside the tent.
It's a garage.
Yeah, it's legit. You know what I'm saying? And but it's the same thing when I go to Sturgis and I camp up there. I ship like a big ass tent to the campground in Sturgis, pick it up when I get there, and fucking usually throw it away afterwards because a baller ass big ass tent is like $150.
Right.
Right. Well, that's so much cheaper than a one-night hotel stay in Sturgis.
For sure.
Right.
That I'm not even going to worry about trying to get this home. I'll donate it to the campground. They can sell it next year at another rally or something. You know what I mean?
Right.
But for this, just for the aspect, I just feel like if you can just experience it, like that's all that matters. Just try these things.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, like having your own place, and some amenities is, it's really nice, especially if you've stacked a lot of miles at the end of the day. But I think it's a cool experience. It's definitely been one for the books personally.
In events, I used to say this a lot on the podcast, and I still believe this, right? The one thing about camping is that you're still involved with everybody, even if you're tired, right? So like, let's say we're traveling across the country together and we're staying in Colorado, but instead of camping, we got a hotel and we all got different rooms. Well, as soon as you get tired, you're like, I'm gonna go to the room.
Yeah.
And then you never know like what could have happened the rest of the night.
Right.
Like somebody might have got a wild hair. Hey, there's a fucking steakhouse open right now. There's a fucking bar right around the corner. And next thing you know, you wake up to all these stories that you might have been a part of. You might have pushed through that tiredness or that fucking laziness or whatever you want to call it and be a part of those things. Or at least you would have sat around a campfire and just shot the shit and talked to somebody. Maybe got to know somebody better. Maybe got to let someone know something about you that you never said anything. You know what I mean?
Right.
Which sounds gay, but without any touching and things like that, I'm just saying like the party, like when you go to an event like the camp out, the concept is that you want to experience it all. And there is a different event going on between 1 a.m. and 4 a.m.
Right.
Absolutely.
And if you're in a fucking hotel room, then that obviously ain't happening.
Yeah.
Or if you're in one of the RVs or one of those spots, like you're just going to have to be out of the comfort of your little area to go be a part of that experience. Right. Mm-hmm. So I don't know.
Even the RV thing, I thought was just, those ended up being like just their own parties.
Yeah.
We were on the outside edge year before last, and I'm looking at all these RVs, and even last year, seemed like there was even more RVs, and they just seemed like their own club, like nightclub. I mean, people, different music coming out of each one. People are rolling in and rolling out.
Yeah.
You know, like lights flashing in each one.
Dude, I love that, dude.
It was wild.
That's the thing that I've loved that it's become. It's become everybody's own thing that they make it theirs.
Yeah.
Right? It's not like it's, you know, I know that maybe certain pages are making it seem like High Chancellor Jace is up here, like everybody's got to come pay homage. It's nothing like that. It's everybody has their own fucking party within this big party.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's what it's supposed to be about. It's like you traveled on the country in some form or fashion, you got to this spot, and now you're just fucking having a good time with people that you know through the social media, or you've met at some other camp out or some other event or whatever, man. And it's just awesome to see everybody else making it their own.
Yeah.
Right?
I hope someone that's like bringing a truck or trailer brings like a Game of Thrones chair for you and sits up on stage.
I know I should have made it.
Oh yeah, you can make one.
I spent so much of my time trying to make it not seem like I'm trying to get some praise and shit like that. It's annoying. And I still get fucking shit for it.
It'll have to be made like out of motorcycle parts from previous trends, you know, stretched
Yeah.
bags, you know, big wheel here, there, with Springer front end.
No, I mean, bringing Big Trouble in on this year's event, Big Trouble and Mel, Big Trouble Barbie on Instagram, like those two have helped so much with like all the behind the scenes orchestration of putting this club style games together, putting the bike show together. It was such a big hit last year with the bike show stuff. Speaking of, we got Matt on the cameras. He actually made this. This is the official trophy for the club style games. So
Is that okay? Nice.
So the club style games, like whoever is running the page for their shit takes that home. And I am rooting for T-Bar Tuesdays, which I'm part running that page, but Trey can take this home. It'll just stay at my shop.
Right.
But no, that like, I think it's cool to have this right here.
Oh,
and
it's
then,
awesome.
you know, obviously each of the members that win will get a helmet as well. But dude, it's, you know what's weird about it is how many people okay, I got to say this. The concept of this thing, the reason why I came up with the idea of doing a club style games was to push these online pages to be about community rather than just being a repost page. You know, if you're a club style said state, said city, you should be not just reposting, but you should be trying to bring people together within your claimed area,
Right.
to create some kind of community within this. And this was an opportunity to bring people together on some kind of premise to come do something, right?
Right.
And, you know, everybody, you know, what we were getting a lot was, well, you know, I just don't want to be embarrassed up there. I'm like, you're being way too serious of a biker.
Right.
You shouldn't probably come to a camp out.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, no.
And the memes and the trash talk were happening before the club style games too. I mean, you had Arkansas Polaroid one, yeah, exactly. So this was that just put a little more ante in the game for those guys.
Yeah, I wish that people would understand that like this concept is to build community. Like I could tell you a handful of those club style pages exist because of things that's been said on this podcast, right? So it's like, fuck, dude, I'm just trying to help you guys find a way to bring more people to your cause. Like you want what Dallas has, which I know that sounds pretentious, but you know, we were just talking about before we went on air. We have a great fucking scene here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know,
Yeah, it's incredible.
It's not the biggest scene in America,
No.
but it's the tightest one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know? And so like I know people want to have that in their community where they can go out any day of the week and be surrounded by people that are interested in the same stuff. Well, it starts by fucking showing up to stuff and doing stuff and putting yourself out there, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And you know, there's a lot of younger guys out there that they're making the jump. You know, I look at just the ones I see from the kids that come to school, and you know, they're converting and they're looking because they go to YouTube, right?
Yeah.
They're on YouTube or TikTok, and that's where they're getting their connect for how they want their bike to look. And for a lot of them, it's the stunt scene's huge for a lot of
sure
you're
that's what
talking
draws
about
a lot of them in.
19, 20, 21-year-old, you know, full of piss and vinegar on a
Yeah.
sport bike, you know, so, but this is a great draw to know that, oh, there's a community.
Yeah.
There's other dudes that are my age, or older, but they, we have this one thing in common. And so for me, it's this has been great. Well, just the age difference between me and a lot of the guys that go to bike night, to see this, 10 plus younger, group that are just as enthusiastic. They're doing it different than how I came up, but just as more enthusiastic, more community related, more focused on group rides or group events. And
I'm pretty jealous because I wasn't in that at that age, and I wish I would have been.
Yeah, that's what a lot of us say that. Like, I grew up in the motorcycle thing here in Dallas, and I struggled for years to find bigger like connections with people that would transcend like a bike club or back in the day. I mean, we used to have a bike night here, which you guys, I know you remember it, but Sonic was off Northwest Highway in 635 was one of the most epic bike nights ever. Every week, nobody knew who put it on. There was no idea who it was, and it just happened.
There's no advertising for it?
No advertising. There was nothing. There was no way to advertise.
There was no internet. It was just word of mouth.
Apparently, this bike night started. I got the history of it once. It started around 94, 96. And it lasted all the way till 2010, 11. And the only thing that killed it was stunt riding. Because it was a sport bike night. Yep. And what happened is, like, every week we would go out there. I built my business off being there. That's how I got my name out there. I'd paint a bike. I'd go sit there in that parking lot every week. And eventually people got to know me as the painter, and then bam, 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 right? Well, then when the stunt scene got real big, like in 07, 08, when like circle wheelies, handbrakes is what kind of evolved the stunt scene in the sport bike world, and that translated onto the street. And so these guys would come out and they would just literally just do wheelies. And don't get me wrong, like, it was enjoyable to watch, but it brought the cops, and then the cops ended up just getting to a point where they shut it all down. But growing up, like I could tell you that I went there every week, and I might be able to remember 5 people over the course of almost 10 years I did that, riding motorcycles, that I remember. And I think I only follow one on Facebook now, and he's had nothing to do with motorcycles anymore. Right. So it's like, I don't know, man, like that inspired me to, want to create some kind of place that had that same draw of like, no matter what, out of sight, out of mind. Oh shit, it's Thursday, or for us, it's Tuesday. Mm-hmm. Shit, I just go to bike night tonight. I'm looking for something to do, and I forgot it was Tuesday. Mm-hmm. Fuck it, there's always something to do on Tuesday. Mm-hmm. And and then the other thing that kind of got me always wanting to do a weekly bike night was my friend used to just slay pussy at bars. That's all he did. He would just talk about it all the time. And I was young, so like I was like, show me the ways. You know what I mean? And he said, dude, all I do is I show up to the same bar every week, every week. I'm there every time, sometimes 3 times a week. And he goes, those chicks that come out there a lot, they get to know me every week. And then next thing you know, I become a familiar face to them, and they have never said a word to me. Mm-hmm. So sleazy maybe, but it's that consistency that, like, yeah, same thing works for us. Like, oh shit, man, I've seen you here a couple times, man. What's your name? Right. Haven't had a chance to talk to you yet. And then bam, like, next thing you know, 2 years later, you fucking traveling the country together, you're best friends. And, right. You know what I mean? Like, that shit happens. It just grows like algae. It's the East Texas guys come in, and all it takes is 1 or 2 really fun events, and you're hooked. You're in.
Or all the crews in other cities too. I mean, that's probably
you see that North Carolina and Illinois club styles had some like rager parties recently.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, they looked like, oh shit, I wouldn't mind being at that one. Yeah. Apparently, someone in North Carolina, like their old lady, was out there in some pasties running around and shit like that. Yeah. But hey, if you got them and she's willing, fuck it.
And I think Illinois, they had is like a Missouri Illinois like combined thing.
Maybe I know that like
it was in Illinois, but
I know that
a lot of the Missouri people went.
Forever Rad, those guys went up there and partied with them. So yeah, I just think it's all cool what they're doing, man. They're awesome. I don't know. I think it's awesome. I think it's the future of this motorcycle scene that we live in.
Yeah, I hope so. I really do.
If you think about it, how else is it going to evolve? It's not. I mean, yes, Hot Bike is back. They're actually dropping an issue within the next week, which is I'm excited to see. But there's no more magazines, essentially. There's no real coverage other than like what we create on social media about the world that we live in.
Right.
So what else is there?
well, just what exists on social media and what people create within their own,
Yeah.
within their own city. So,
But even then, with the social media side, then you just got so much haters, or so many haters out there too. Like you got to deal with that side of it, which whatever. But at least on the magazine side, like you can appreciate it, and you're not really. I mean, I do appreciate having multiple sources, I guess is what I'm getting at, like the magazine and the social media side.
do you know? Well, I guess it's going to be. I'm assuming they'll cover the gamut as far as motorcycles go on the Harley side. I'm assuming.
With what, hot bike?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're a V-twin magazine, so I mean, the only two options they have is Harley and Indian right now,
Right.
And they still those two brands like circle in the same pond. So, I don't know. I mean, Jordan, the guy that ran it, he was in it. We did the podcast in December. I actually had dinner with him when I was out there, and I told him straight up at dinner, I was like, man, I'm gonna judge this magazine, dude.
Right.
Like if there's shit in it that I feel like you're not being what you told me you were going to be, I'm gonna call you out. And he goes, I expect you to. I'm like, thank you for understanding that I want this magazine to be as pure about the world it is now as much as anything. And that's one of the things I talked to him about, is that like in this world that we live in, it seems like anytime there becomes like some place of wanting to exploit what is happening, they always want to go back and exploit the people that used to be here dominantly. Hey, let's go find another guy from the 2000s that was killing it, and let's make them famous again, instead of like actually being involved in the world to see who is the who now. And I'm not saying me. I'm talking about all the people that I go and do podcasts with,
Sure,
that are creating their own, carving out their own slice of history within
Right.
this motorcycle thing, that are almost like just completely overlooked in those worlds, because they're not all these media companies are not doing any research. They're not actually involved. They're just looking to exploit.
It feels like it's like they're not on the pulse of what the actual motorcycle community is. And maybe it's an age thing. It's definitely a demographic thing for sure. But I feel like it's unfortunate. It's just unfortunate that I feel like they don't really have their finger on the pulse of where most of these, most of the current riders or younger riders are with these motorcycles right now.
Yeah.
It might be too late now, but is Jordan coming to the camp out?
Oh, no.
That'd have been a perfect thing, though.
Exactly. Trust me. I keep trying to tell some of these brands out there, that like, hey, look, the camp out is a party. Don't get me wrong, but it's a chance for you to actually see what the culture is really like. Mm-hmm. And for you to understand where this is coming from. And it's like, I don't know, man, like that. I mean, to me, I wouldn't call it a sore subject, but it does suck. I mean, like I said, if you have to become an invited builder to come and support things, then to me, like I'm not even gonna say that because that's gonna dig me a hole. I wish people would I do a lot to go out of the way to support a lot of different brands and show that, put them on air, do things like that. And I'd appreciate it if they show a little support back. That's all I'm going to say.
I mean, I know James wrote that really good article in that other magazine, but I feel like, especially getting started, doing a couple page, review on.
I think that he said that he would run something about the camp out for sure.
Okay.
But I mean, I don't know. It'd be dope. I mean, Jordan's a guy that writes. He's a complete editor, right? So his take of the camp out, I would actually love to hear his take of it in a magazine versus if I had one of you guys write something for the magazine.
Oh,
you know
absolutely.
What I mean? Even though it's dope to have that happen, the thing that James wrote for the Torque magazine was an awesome, great feeling. Especially when we got the magazine, we're all sitting in Sturgis at a campsite on a table, like. James is up on the table reading, and then we're all sitting like Indian style on the ground. It's like we're at a camp or something like that.
Was he reading it to you?
Yeah, he was.
That's awesome.
He was reading us the article that he had written for it, and
That's awesome.
it was awesome. Great experience. But I like to hear the experience from someone that's not connected that way. You know what I'm saying?
And I guess it's still from the media side, but I am excited about this camp out because I think there's more focus on people documenting more.
Yeah.
And I know in past years it hadn't been done very well, but I think there's going to be more people doing it this year, myself included, trying to do that. And I think you'll see a lot better.
A lot more cameras out. I mean, I'm still trying to figure out how the hell I'm going to do what I got to do there, but also be like, hey, guys, it's your boy,
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that's part of the fun. Like the week after, well, the couple weeks after is everybody's finally getting some time to get home and edit footage and put stuff together and start sharing it. And it's huge. You can't follow everyone. It's almost impossible. But for all that media to start making its way around, so you can see different people's experiences, because it's too large of a group for all of us to be doing some crazy group ride. Nobody wants to ride the Talamino like that anyway.
Yeah, it's a good like 10-person top kind of situation.
Yeah. And so it's awesome to see everybody's different perspective, like when they left, who they rode with, who they were hanging out with. And it gives you a point of contact with them and a conversation to have with them too. Like, oh, I saw you rode with, so-and-so, and, what'd you think? What were your, hope you liked it if it was their first time. So, that's always cool too. Like for me, like the first 2 weeks after the camp, I was just waiting for everybody's media to come out.
It is that, I relied on it so heavily last year because I just completely dropped the ball last year with taking pictures. I'll give Sit Down Steve a little bit of credit here because he pushed me to take pictures the year prior when we did all the photo shoot with Justin doing the burnout and all the different, like all those great pictures of RD getting beer poured in his mouth with all the chicks and great photos. And like, like I'm a very shy photographer when it comes to that. And even doing YouTube, I get shy doing that shit around people. So Steve was kind of like pushing me like, dude, just fucking do it. Just get it out. And I'm like, all right, cool. And then bam. I'm glad he pushed me to do that because I got some of my favorite shit I've ever gotten.
Oh, there were some iconic images that came out of a lot of that. And, it's taking the time and corralling people together and, hey, we're going to do this. We're going to take some pictures right now. I can understand where it would feel kind of,
I can't explain what it is about taking pictures or even doing video in front of other people in that kind of aspect, but if you're an overthinker or something like I am, then you're just in your head like, I'm like, maybe this is kind of something that would, it's not me, it's the other version of me behind me saying like, hey, dude, they're going to think that you think that you're good at this. And I'm like,
in my mind, I'd be like, this feels corny as shit.
Exactly.
This feels corny as
I
shit.
feel like I'm trying, like, because when I grew up around people that were photographers, they were all trying to take pictures of chicks. And they were all just trying to fuck chicks. Like, they were never good at taking pictures. They just had a camera. It was another angle, right? So I always have these, like, all these, like, ideas of photographers in my head. And then when I got into the chopper world, everybody was a photographer. And you never saw anything they did, but it was kind of like the thing to do. It was like the accessory to the bike, to the lifestyle. Right. And there was only a handful of them that were, like, actually real photographers like, Tim O'Keefe and some other guys like him. So I always get in my head, and this is not anybody, this is me, this is my own problem, is I start thinking too much, like, do they think I am what I used to think those guys were? Mm-hmm. And that's the battles that I deal with in my head all the fucking time, trying to create content, trying to do all this shit. It's like, here it's easy. This is easy because I'm not looking at that thing over there. I'm looking at you guys. Right. I've come to the realization that exists. I don't watch these afterwards because I don't want to see how fucking stupid I was or some dumbass phrase that came out of my mouth or anything. Like, if I edited these podcasts down and cut out all my ums and likes and put these things a little bit more tighter, I would never release them. They would live in some fucking hard drive somewhere.
So you never go back and watch?
No.
Good for you, man. Mm-hmm. Good for you.
Maybe not.
I say good for you in the sense that
I'm too insecure to do it.
Well, listening from the beginning, right? Watching this thing grow over all these years and seeing your...
It's just getting the real out of me. This was, I know.
But your progression with the podcast and just in general. I mean, I've known of you for the better part
well over 10 years.
10 years.
Yeah.
And I've had some amazing conversations. I've talked to Corey about this. We've talked about this, and I'll tell anybody. I said this dude can do and will do anything he puts his fucking mind to. I mean, you snap back at us. I don't know. We were talking at bike night one night. We were talking about like watching TikToks or some shit like that. And he's like, all that time you guys waste on that, you could be learning something. And I was like, fuck, he's right, dude. He's so right. He's so right. But but that's what Jace has done. Jace is like,
Put the camera on me so I can just take these compliments in real quick.
It reminds me of my dad. Like my dad was always like this super handy man. My grandfather was the same way, but it was out of necessity because he's like, I can't afford to pay anybody to do this shit. And Jace always had that same mentality. He's like, I can, if they can figure that out, I can figure this out.
Yeah.
But to see the progression, not just with the production quality and video, but also your interview style. So I thought you went back and like, okay, well, I could do this better. So I thought you went back and watched every single one. So that's why I say good for you.
No, there's a lot of things. I think it's a matter of owning what you say and being humble enough to like accept when you're wrong. And I've it's I don't think everybody's listened to every podcast. So maybe that apology or that I was wrong about this part they might have missed. But I have an idea. We have a conversation. If you change my mind, then I accept that.
Right.
I don't try to force my idea because it's mine, even though it sucks, onto the audience. I try to allow, but I do challenge people with those ideas, and sometimes that's the part of conversations, right? I might have a shitty idea, but I might be better at putting it on the table than my guest.
Right.
And so even though they need to correct me, I still kind of gain favor, or I guess I won, but it's still a shitty idea that I wish they were better at telling me their idea to challenge it. Does that make sense?
No, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah. So it's like I don't look at this podcast. I don't know. It's if anybody scrubs it, all of it, dude, I'm fucking so canceled, 100%. You could paint me into any kind of picture you want, right? But realistically, like what I think that this is all about is it's about creating what it's done. It's created a huge community nationwide. We have people sing right now. People are riding their bikes to come and party with us in a couple of days,
awesome.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's not me. It's just this platform
Right.
that is a collection of hundreds of people that have been on here who have created this wealth of conversationalized knowledge. I don't know what the fuck how to say it. You're a school teacher. Just all this knowledge put together. Sometimes it's a Joe kid that inspires people to ride. Sometimes it's, you guys, or it's Jaden, being Jaden. And next thing you know, it's like it all kind of comes out of this place, this brand for everybody else, but it's not all me, right? I'm just the constant.
Right.
So I'm just the idiot that's always here.
Just the lighthouse.
What's the Sunday conversations with Caleb? What's that Caleb Presley guy that does those interviews? Kind of I'm the guy eating ice cream in the back of every one of them. The fat guy in his underwear. That's me. I'm on every episode, just fucking putting it all out there, being an idiot. So
going back to the Big Trouble Bike Show, I couldn't be more excited for this. What Mel and Mark are doing in that space is amazing. Are we aware of any bikes being unveiled?
I'm not sure. I mean, I think that it would be really awesome.
Yours? Serious?
I guess, Matt.
Oh, okay.
I guess I'll go fuck myself, right, Matt?
Is it coming, Matt?
It's nothing special.
Is it? But is it going to be? It'll be there. Okay.
Awesome.
So
Did you get it started yet? Is it running?
Tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow. Okay, I'm gonna hold you to it. I'm gonna text him about noon.
I mean, I can show you the pictures of how it's built. So
Doesn't matter how special
I
it
mean,
is. It's special to you.
motor is together. So
Oh, nice.
Ta-da!
There we go.
And it'll be so. The plan is for it to be there in the show.
well, when is the show? Because I'm leaving Saturday. Wasn't
Is
it
it
Saturday?
Saturday?
Yeah,
show?
yeah,
So depending on, because I can leave late.
yeah. It'll be Saturday night.
Yeah.
So. Anyway, I don't know. I think that whoever is building it, I mean, the concept is to just give some people a little bit extra. I come from the world of custom motorcycles, like doing something to your bike, whether it's, a couple bolt-ons or you took it down to the frame over the winter and you're building a bike and now you're traveling on it. So I want the camp out to kind of house or give an opportunity to people to experience both the traveling, the riding, the camaraderie, the homies, the hangout, the stories, but also like, hey, I did this and I want to show the world and I want the camp out to be a platform for that too, but I don't want it to become a show where
For sure.
people are standing in the corner, and then when they don't win, they fucking throw shit and they fucking leave the campground, right? I want people to be stoked just to be a part of it. You know what I mean?
No, I think Big Trouble put it best. It's almost more about the story than it is the bike in a lot of ways, and that's what I love
If someone
about the
has
show.
a badass bike, it's like some things are undeniable, and no matter what kind of concept of the show is, it's just undeniable. But you got a fucking $150,000 bike. Like, this camp out is not that kind of prestigious of a bike show. I think that Trouble has ideas of creating that type of event for that type of bike, but this place is about fun, man. It's about just connecting with people. You know what I'm saying?
Well, the show last year, we rolled in late to it. It was already like, that's when we realized, oh, they're doing a show. But
at the camp out?
At the camp out. But it was, it wasn't pretentious at all. It was just laid back. Dudes just literally just parked their bikes there. But and with this scene, I mean, there's a lot of heavies, man. There's a lot of
sleepers too.
Yeah. Well, there's bikes you may have never seen, but there's some guys that put a lot of TLC into a lot of these motorcycles.
Yeah.
And in general, the layman could look at a lot of these and be like, "Oh, it's all the same. They all look the same." But when you know the machines and you take the time and you know the model and you know what mods they did, and then you realize that, wow, they rode that all the way here, and you find out it's from Florida or from Illinois or from from wherever they stacked miles to bring it here, and then it's just there just for people to look at. It's not like there's not clubs that are, hey, go vote for me.
Yeah.
Dude,
that's one of the worst things.
Not just that too, like the guy that I voted for last year was like doing burnouts and everything on Talamina, just enjoyed the time.
Right.
Risking everything.
Yeah, he had to ride back home,
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's the cool. And everybody gets to pick like their favorite. You're like literally just looking at a sea of motorcycles, and you can just literally vote for the one. And it feels like that. Like it feels like that kind of show. Like nobody's pressure. Hey man, vote for me, vote for me. Like nobody gives a shit. Like they were happy to have their bike parked in front of the stage. To have this, it was great photo ops too. It was cool. I got a bunch of cool pictures to see all the bikes right there in the afternoon. So and to see what Big Trouble does, it's going to be really cool.
And that's the way I've always viewed a bike show. Is I never like entered to win because I never really. There's some killers out there. There really is, but I just wanted other people to see what I've done and what my vision is.
Yeah.
And it's not about awards.
Sometimes the conversations you get because that bike is in that space with people is kind of like what you more or less want more than the trophy that might come with it.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's the way I've always viewed a show.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's a good one.
It's just like, just dudes do. I mean, it's just what guys do. We sit around and kick tires. That's literally what you're doing. What'd you do? What exhaust? Who built your motor? Did you build it? Painter? Then you go down the list of stuff.
And let's be real here. I mean, in today's world, the amount of people that are actually like truly fabricating bikes is less than 1%.
Yeah.
It's almost every bike out there is a bolt-on stuff. So you're going to have a lot of crossover.
Yeah, and you know what? And for that community to really preserve that way of life, then some of them have to start becoming ambassadors of it. Right? They got to be ambassadors of the world they want to preserve. The same way that, some of us are being ambassadors for this world that we want to promote. So it's like, there is no magazines, there is nobody to promote you anymore. You got to be the one to put your shit in the face of the world.
Yeah.
Right? And so I think it's cool as hell, and I hope that it never dies. But, these bikes are just going to get more plastic. They're going to become more exotic metals. It might get cheaper, or whatever the case may be. When the new Harleys come out and they continue to evolve, they're going to become more complex, right? It's going to be harder to turn a 2025 Road Glide into a chopper.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And why would you?
Right.
Fortunately, there's plenty of older bikes that you can do that with, but to get someone to want to try that, maybe it's going to be YouTube. It's like people on YouTube that are going to want to go down that path of like trying something that has kind of been the foundation of this world that we hang out in. Choppers are kind of the foundation of motorcycling. Yeah. I think, at least to me, as a custom motorcycle guy, you know what I mean? Without choppers, I don't exist. You know what I'm saying?
A lot of the aftermarket side doesn't.
Exactly.
No, I mean it all started there. You know, making them, you know, to some degree lighter, narrower. I mean, they were all, a lot of it was, you know, built to fit the environment they in or the style of that particular city.
Yeah.
You know, west versus east, or you know, if you look at the Midwest,
Yeah.
you know, all those choppers were completely different and built for different, you know,
Reasons, yeah.
different reasons.
Do
Yeah.
you pour your refill here? Or you
Sure. Thank you, sir.
Get Pop awesome.
Oh no, here it goes. Old gray hair.
Dude, if I grew my shit out right now, dude, I might give you some run for your money.
Let's do it. Let's do
My
it.
shit is gray on the sides. I look like Dr. Who's the guy from Fantastic Four? The stretchy guy? Was it
Was it Mr. Incredible?
Mr. Incredible or something like that? It's a comic book reference for you nerds out there.
I,
I'm just waiting
Mr.
for it.
Fantastic.
Mr. Fantastic, that's right.
I'm waiting for it to all go white. So that's where I'm at. I'm waiting for it to all go white.
Trying to be a silver fox. You got a good hairline, dude.
It
How'd
may
you do
happen.
that?
Yeah, I still got the Eddie Munster, dude.
Fuck, dude. The Mexican jeans are good. And
No, they are. They're strong. They're strong, dude. They're strong.
you don't see a lot of Mexican balds.
No.
Can you call them
No.
balds? Is that appropriate?
Yeah, you can call
yeah,
them
what's
balls.
the PC term on that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Latino X balds.
Yeah. I don't know what's up with that. You know?
Hey.
And you know, it bums me out to see them all rocking the Edgar cut. I'm like, God, you guys got all that great hair, and then you just cut a chili bone.
Dude, it's actually worse haircuts than what like the Japanese guys had for the longest time. Where like they just took a mop and stayed on their head. Dude, the Edgar cut is probably the worst thing that's ever came out of Texas. Because that's a Texas thing. That ain't California.
No. That's 100% Texas. It's
And the fact that I'm another man looking at another man's hair, going, "That's a bad idea."
well, I'm just thinking, man, the roasting I would have caught in middle school and high school with that. You know, yo, what's up, Mo?
They have no idea who that is.
No. Like, where's the other two Stooges? Yeah, I don't know.
So you work in a technical school, right?
Yes.
Technical or technical? How would you say it?
Well, it's technically it's college.
Okay.
It's a technical program in a college. It's a state college now.
So you've been dealing with, since I've known you, you've been dealing with the next generation coming up into the auto body classes, mechanics, everything involved in that. So tell me a little bit about it.
22 years with Dallas at Eastfield.
Yeah.
You know, former alumni here.
I never graduated.
And
College
then,
dropout.
And then, Collin College built a technical program. It's 3 years now that it's been there.
Yeah.
It's over off 121 in Allen. And it is manufacturing, welding. They have a biomechanical lab. I wish the photography department, construction. They have.
I can tell them right now that's not going to make any money. Photography.
Our photography department actually. So we had a skills competition. Skills is a group that works with high school programs as well as post-secondary college, and they do regional competitions for, you know, like I said,
All the
photography,
trades.
culinary arts, yeah, you name it. And our provost, we have a new provost, and he was adamant that we put together a skills program to showcase the technical programs that we have. Anyway, our photography department got, gold, silver, bronze. They swept the
Damn.
state competition. So they'll move on to nationals, which
Because
is
you live in the
Atlanta.
north side of town where the parents can afford $1,500 camera bodies and $4,000 lenses. That shit in the hood.
Dude, the difference.
Get a goddamn Nokia cell phone.
What's crazy is I'll just explain how this went. Is I was very curious how does the photography competition works. I mean, for ours, it's pretty cut and dry. You know, they have a lab set up, and the students go in and they perform these certain activities, whether it's on the refinish side or it's on the collision side. But they have these skills that they have to perform. They're timed, and so we understand how that works. But I was like, how does photography work, or culinary arts? But the photography, so they had Friday to go around the city, anywhere it is in Houston, to go around any place they wanted to in the city and take photographs. And each student was allowed to submit a daytime photograph and a nighttime photograph of their choice. And so that's what they did. They stayed up all Friday night editing all their photos and submitted them Saturday. So that's, I was just very curious how they did that on the photography side. If it's something that they came with and submitted them, or they had to be done there on site. But yeah, they're done there on site. And
Yeah, and that's a weird one because photography is more of an art. So it's like that, that's always going to be subjective as to what's better than the other one.
Right.
And
I don't know how they
there's rules in photography, but sometimes, it's just like everything else. Like custom paint. Custom paint is breaking all the rules of natural painting. Right? It's doing the things you're not supposed to do to make it custom. So it's like when you're doing that with you apply that to the photography side of it, and sometimes you get the most amazing photos out of it. But I don't know. I think it's cool that it exists, though.
Yeah. I don't know the premises on how it was judged, but I thought it was cool that they made him do it there, and they made him do all the editing prior to submitting him on Saturday. So, but
as far as you're aware, are there like limitations on editing that they can do?
I have no
Or is
idea.
Yeah, because you could fucking Photoshop a goddamn moon in there.
Well, what I need to do is pick one of my students. So I have 4 veterans, so they're all former military, and 2 of them competed. And the one that got silver in estimating, he had kind of buddied up with the photography professor, so I probably need to pick his brain.
Oh, yeah,
I think those 2 stayed at the bar for a while one night, so I probably need to pick his brain.
A lot of great things happen at bars.
Oh yeah. So no, but it's this is an amazing program compared to Eastfield, and seeing what we saw from the regional competition and skills in Houston. We were so just on the paint side. Our students have no idea what solvent is. I came into your shop today.
All water based?
All water based.
Wow.
Yeah, so I haven't smelled solvent
Since you got here?
since August. So coming in here today, I was like, oh man, I remember that smell. But and our students don't know how to mix paint out without a scale.
Yeah.
So they didn't have a scale at the comp. That's why our refinish segments didn't do very well, because they didn't have a scale on the premise, and they had to mix with mixing ratios. So hey, what's a 4-2-1? And they're giving them a mixing cup and a mixing stick, and these kids
And they can't just find the numbers that are on the cup?
Yeah.
Or
A
look
lot
at
of
the
people
stick
can't
that
read
has...
those.
Yeah, but it goes back to what you were saying, like not being able to read a map. I mean, it sounds pretty like that would be pretty easy, but if all you're used to is just plugging it in on your phone and your phone tells you, I mean, that's kind of how, like our Sherwin-Williams system is like that. Like even your primer gets mixed on the scale.
Damn.
Like everything gets mixed on a scale. So
Yeah, that's
Well, aren't you able to do like toners with the primer
yeah,
to
yeah.
get it ready?
And they can enter all that in, but that's how they're taught, is to do it all on the scale and with this particular system. So, and for a lot of these students, this is all, most of these have had, it's not like they came from a high school program and then they're coming and adding to what they learned in high school. For a lot of them, this is the first time they've touched a car, they've touched paint, they've touched plastic fillers.
respectively, like out of a class, how many do you think actually stick with it versus like it was
An elective or something?
I wouldn't call it elective. I think that these are programs you have to kind of like commit to a little bit.
They're paying to get degrees in these programs.
Yeah.
So they're fully committed.
There are college students in this
'Cause-
program. They're working towards either certificates in refinishing or metal. Most of them are working on an associate's in applied science. They also get all kinds of, they'll get ICAR credits, they'll get ASC credits. There's some refinishing certifications they'll get, some Evercoat training with Evercoat products that they'll get certificates in that. But yeah, they're all going for an associate's degree.
So how many do you think really like fit the bill versus they're going to like struggle to kind of be applied into the workforce afterwards?
Well, so this will be my second graduating class, and in order for them to graduate, they have to be part of a co-op program, which means they have to have a job in the field, in the shop. The last graduating class I had, more than half are still working in shops or at those shops. And that's all over the gamut, too. It's anywhere from your big box stores like Caliber and Service or Crash Champions now, to dealerships, collision centers, to restoration shops. So, and some you know, I've had a couple of young men that were their fathers owned construction companies, and they've gone back to do construction with their with their family. That's two that I can think of. Well, one that I can think of, but most of them, the vast majority stay in the shops. And I have the most students that I've ever had right now are all working in shops. And the other thing too is we have the highest percentage of female students than the automotive program, and the highest percentage of female students I've seen in my 25 plus year career in education.
That's gotta be a testament to the, you know, what we've talked about is just like how many women in the trades now.
Yeah.
That have social medias that are really appealing to. I never thought about it, but for sure for young women out there that are looking for like some kind of pathway to something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it's more employers are. It's a softer environment than what you and I grew up in. And Matt. It's a lot softer environment. Employers have really gotten their shit together, and yeah, it's a little difficult for us because we provide this really. Well, I won't say difficult. We set the bar really high. So our program mimics, Matt, you would know this if you've been to, you know, going to Mercedes training, or when you go to one of their training facilities, it's top tier nice.
Oh, yeah.
Super clean, sterile environment. You've got to wear the proper PPE. We're the same way. Our program mimics what you would see, and because Toyota headquarters is just right down the street from us.
Yeah.
And so our program mimics most OEM training programs, and we're trying to push our students in that direction. And we have a lot of Sewell's heavily involved, and Toyota's heavily involved. We have a partnership with Rivian Electric Car Company.
Where are they based out of? I thought they were up north, like Michigan or something like that.
Illinois.
They're in Illinois, Chicago.
I think they bought the old Mitsubishi plant, I think, or something like that.
That sounds right. I know they have their headquarters for Dallas right now is right across the street from Tesla over by the Love Field.
Okay, I know what you're talking about.
But we'll have their training program up and running by I think next summer.
So, like, do the women that come into those programs, do they seem to catch on pretty quick, or how would you judge their adaptation to this male dominated like job force kind of situation?
I mean, if I got to be honest, most of them perform better.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
So when I went to school, we had probably 10 chicks that were going to school there. I had one in my class. She was actually one of the best students in the class, but she was also, I was 20 at the time. She was 31.
Yeah, and I'll have to factor that in too, because I have some of the female students that are older. So yeah, maturity definitely factors in. I mean, look, there are some young female students there that are just one piece. But there are some young students there, female students that are just there just because there's a lot of boys.
Damn.
That was true with a couple that I've seen.
So when you were,
they could just go to a bar.
back in the college days when you were talking about the ratio, that's what they're thinking about. When they're okay.
I'm gonna go get this applied science or the fucking what was it?
That with chicks in the military too.
Sure,
it could apply to that.
Thank God for sluts. Anyway, that's why I'm gonna get canceled right there.
I won't even say it's because they're promiscuous. I will say it's
some women, do you think they I wouldn't say the word is identify, but they feel more comfortable around boys, men, than other girls. You know what I'm saying?
And I totally understand that.
So a funny story that's obviously not directly tied to that, but my previous employer, this was after I left, but I had heard a story where there was in one of the factories a chick that had an OnlyFans account, and she basically offered it up to a bunch of different dudes to run a train on her at the factory, and they got busted, of course. So, there's a bunch of people fired over this. Well, then there was like someone that put out a meme or basically a Twitter, or maybe it was a Facebook post, but basically said, hey, if your man got fired from so and so company recently, just know it was because they paid $50 to run a train on some OnlyFans girl.
How many divorces came out of that?
That's fucking.
Dude. Now, I won't say it's because they're promiscuous. I think it's attention. They just like the attention that they may get from male counterparts. But that's far and few between. Most of the students they're either just trying to figure life out. I mean, they're 19, 20 years old, or this is definitely something they want to do. And by the time you get them their second year, and they're getting close to graduating, you've weeded out the ones that have decided, hey, I don't want to do this.
Well, to kind of show the unfairness, like it sucks because there's definitely women that are coming into those trades that are absolutely hungry, skilled, want to be badass. There's also skanks. Mm-hmm. Just like there are dudes that are doing the same thing. It's just that, like, I understand the double standard in that aspect, right? So, like, it's just that, it's easy for us to talk about the girls because we know that's kind of unfamiliar territory for us versus, like, I can't tell you how many people I've worked with in my lifetime that were just pieces of shit at what they did for a living. I wouldn't say that they didn't, I mean, the whole college program thing for years in the trade schools has always been like job placement. That was kind of like the selling point on, hey, 20 grand and we'll get you a job. Well, I used to change oil at Walmart.
Right.
And I was fucking good at it. That might not sound like a lot to somebody listening to it. He was a tire and lube technician at Walmart. But when I tell you how simple of a task it is to somebody that's mechanically inclined versus like people that go to school for 4 fucking years or 2 years.
Oh, yeah.
And they don't understand how to get lug nuts off of a fucking vehicle, all the different shit.
Even just tools. I mean, just tools. When I pull open one of these tool drawers.
So there's 2 different measurement standards?
Yeah.
What's this about?
Yeah. And
I got about 2 sets of sockets?
Even when everything's labeled, but the look on their faces when you open up I open up just the top chest of just one of, I don't know how many, one of 12 Snap-on toolboxes that are, in that lab. When I open up one and they look at all the tools that are in the top that are just sockets, sockets, ratchets, and most of it metric, not even standard because we don't use, we have some on the mechanic side where we keep some standard.
Most
tools.
cars are all metric.
They're
now.
all metric, but when they're looking at all the Torx bits and all the Allen bits and
shallow, deep, ones with the holes in it,
yes.
so you can get the fucking locked ones
And they're
out.
like, I have to learn all this? I'm like, yeah.
So when I went to training for Mercedes, we would go, for maybe 1-2 days, sometimes 3, for a specific task. We would have designated toolbox just for that class.
Yeah.
And then there'd be another toolbox for another class. And it would be all different things in there. Sometimes we would have to go borrow some out of there because there wasn't enough. But
Go steal a 10 millimeter out of the other one class.
Did y'all see that video that was posted recently of that guy that did the 10 millimeter? We had a whole drawer of them.
Yeah.
And he took one out and stuck it, and it would disappear. That was a good fucking video right there.
I never understood that joke. All the years I've worked in shops and even at Eastfield, of course, I did most of my labs in places that I worked.
Yeah.
That's where I took my students. But I never really understood the 10 millimeter thing. And then now, much more tools, much more toolboxes. And I'm like, why is there a 10 millimeter missing? I watched one student lose one on a car, his personal car that he was working on. I heard it. Tink, 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 tink down the engine bay. And I was
Never
like,
hit the
"It's
floor."
gone. It's
Yeah.
gone.
to be fair, I had like 3 of the same 10 millimeter sockets. One in my toolbox, one in my roll cart, and one that was like on my little tool tray that I kept out.
I always
Just
kept
so I can make sure.
kept extras, but I never really lost. If I lost one, it was a Snap-on, so I'm looking for it.
It's the concept of the same reason why, like, the green Harley is the bad luck Harley, because they made so many of them, they wreck and they just get the, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Same thing. Most bolts in cars are 10 millimeters, so you're using it the most out of all the tools, and you misplace it. So
Yeah. I'm super excited for this amazing facility that Colin built. It's their crown jewel right now, and all the programs have exceeded all their expectations. So
that's good.
look, we're trying to break some of the things that kind of broke most young people what they saw coming into this business when we were younger.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
I'm gonna say exactly how I would do. Like if I was in your shoes and I had a class, the first week we would just watch Netflix. We'd watch The Last Dance. That's what we would. Everybody in the school would have to watch The Last Dance with Jordan, right? And I would show them like, look, some of you guys ain't gonna make it. So if you can't take the initiative to learn these things on your own, if you're only going to rely on the time that you walk in this door to be a part of this, you're not going to make it. You know what I mean?
I put the making it is up to them. They have tremendous amounts of homework that they have to do. If you don't do the homework, you're not passing the class. It's 35% of their grade. Attendance is a large portion of it. There's lab sheets that have to be done for assignments. So, it's a difficult program. It's not like most programs. And, they pay to be there. And we have the cheapest tuition in the state for any college. If you're in district, it's less than $6,000 for an associate's degree. And if you're out of district, it's around $7,500. And that includes your uniform and your 2-year subscription.
It's almost as much as a camera body for that camera class.
Yeah, right.
So, and the school provides a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So if you need a laptop, the school provides that. We provide everything inside: laptops, tablets. Everything's there. You need and want for nothing.
I think that those schools are very good for people that are coming from outside of the world of like being involved. Like we grew up in shops, right? So it's different for us. But I think it's great for those people that don't get to grow up in shops, but it's also great for people that want to pursue. They have the time to just gather the knowledge and the certificates because it'll definitely help you with job placement. And, with the way that the collision and mechanic industry has gone over the last couple of years, it just makes more sense to have all those certifications that they to one step above the other person applying for the job. I mean, if more people look at like, I always tell people like, I need opposition, even though I'm not like if you start a YouTube channel right now and I'm doing it, like you're my competition, even though I don't hate you and I want to promote you.
Sure.
I'm just like, well, he put it out. I want to be better than him.
Well, because there's so many hours in a day, so
Yeah.
like, you can only watch so much.
Yeah, and why? It's like if you're not going to try to be the best at what you do, then like you're always going to fall short of like something, like whatever your goal is. Like I wouldn't say that you need to try to be the fucking Michael Jordan of auto body or anything like that, but do you want to like the thing that you're going to do for the rest of your life to pay for your family, everything that you're going to get out of your life financially, whether you want a boat one day, a motorcycle, or a nice house, or a vacation with your family, it's all going to come out of this thing that you're doing right here. So if you're not going to if you don't have you haven't learned a little bit of perspective enough to just give this everything you got so that you can achieve all these things,
Right.
like that's something I see that in people so much that I'm like, bro, like you're skipping a step. You're skipping a step.
So I'm curious, you guys got this great facility. I think that's awesome. So have you been having internal conversations to say, hey, we could see an increase in attendance or registrations, whatever you say, because of AI? And like people having to go shift more towards the trades because of that? Is that any type of a conversation in your guys' area?
The AI thing has been very interesting.
That's pretty recent. It's like the last 8 months,
but
maybe.
Like they're already on top.
But
of
it's
it.
so fast.
It's so fast, and we have, we have very strict policies against, copyright infringement or cheating, things like that. And this AI, that was my first thought with this Chat GPT was kids can go on there and they can just have a whole thesis paper written. And
It's like the calculator.
dude,
Right.
You're not going to have a calculator in your pocket when you grow up, are you, buddy?
so they're already addressing that.
Chat
because-
GPT is the new Siri.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you'll get students will have essay questions, and you can see where they just went in there and just copied. They'll Google the answer, and they'll just copy whatever article they found. They'll just copy and post it in there as their answer for the essay. So, you have to be conscious of that. We have software that monitors that, but now with with some of this AI, and they're having to write essays or a thesis paper for a final or for to answer a particular question on a topic. Yeah, now we have to deal with that. Did they really write this, or is this something that they submitted into?
Let me ask you this question: you've heard of the concept of imposter syndrome, right?
Yeah.
It's always kind of applied to more people like that are kind of coming into like maybe the limelight of entertainment, comedians, athletes, movie stars, things like that, musicians. If too many things like this take place to give people the upper edge of existence, but it's still a tool that everybody can obtain, there's no connection between like right now, music is made off of an instrument, right? But it still requires something to create that sound through it, right? So,
It requires the artist to put it the input.
You can make a tune, but then there's another level like, can I make a melody? And then, all right, I can make a melody. Can I make a song? Can I make a song that people want to hear? Can I make a song that resonates? Like there's levels to that, right? So if everything in life that exists about your existence is something that can be created through an AI bot for the most part, and you gain success, the midlife crisis thing, I think, has always been like one of those joked about things. I think that it happens in men and women. I think that it's just like a realization that people come to in their 30s, sometimes 40s, where did I waste my adulthood chasing this dream that's now not where I think it was, but like you had imposter syndrome to that, where it's like, I do nothing. I create nothing. I have no skills and hobbies because I used something that made money for me, and now that thing is something that's widely available for the rest of the world. What is my purpose in life now? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's kind of a vague kind of.
No, but I mean it's relevant. It seemed like I can remember being as a kid like, oh man, what's my dad going to do with his midlife crisis? It was a thing.
Yeah.
It's a thing, and I don't know. I think because I've been around so many people that were always creative or worked with their hands, trades.
Yeah.
They were already wild people to begin with. I mean,
Yeah.
You think about a lot of the people that, we've all worked with in the trades, they had wild young lives and for whatever reason fell into the trade that they're in and maybe settled down a little bit. But at some point they were pretty wild, but they were creative. So I don't know that most of the people that I associate with ever got to a point that were like, well, this is it. I need a Corvette. Wife needs.
Let me ask. This is a good question. This is actually a good topic. Yeah. Do you think you've had a midlife crisis? And if you have, or some version of it, what was it about?
Maybe after the first marriage, maybe. But bro, that doesn't count as. If that's the case, then 60 is going to be my number, right? So I was in my late 20s, early 30s.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call it a midlife crisis. I would call it. I finally felt like I was a grown up and I was making decisions for myself. I think up until that point, I was letting life make decisions for me or other people or persons. Yeah. But as far as a midlife crisis, no. That would probably be the antithesis of one for me. But no, I've never had this urge like, oh, I should have done this or I should have done that. I wish life would have been different. I think the working in education and always having this, I feel like what I got blessed with my mentor and that's what resonates with the Joe Rogan thing is you just didn't want to be a loser. And, my parents struggled and I had to watch them. That was really tough financially. And that weighed on me heavily as a young man, as a child. When you worry, like, are we...
Is mom going to make this finger hut payment this week?
Well, no, but, like having to live in a house with no air conditioning for extended periods of time till mom and dad could find a credit card that would approve them, or they could come up with some money that would afford for my dad to go and buy a compressor and put it in this, things like that. McDonald's was going out. If we had a nice meal out, it was Pizza Hut or McDonald's. So, and then watching my parents sit down every week with a ledger and going through the bills, and my dad would pull $20 out of an ATM, write a check and get $20 and fuck up the, books and, that was emasculating watching that. And so those all weighed heavily on me. So, I used to just, as soon as I didn't care what it was. It could be, I knew I wasn't somebody that would do well in college. I did well in high school, but I knew college was just not.
Yeah.
I knew I wasn't going to do well enough to be in debt for it.
Let's put it that way. High school is one of those things like, I don't want to be the guy that couldn't do the thing that everybody in the country does.
Right.
Like, I've always, my brother, I used to tell him this, like, look, dude, like, I suck at school, but if all 900 of these motherfuckers that I went to 9th grade through, 12th grade with, if they can graduate and I can't, that's not the world. That's me.
Yeah.
Right? That's me. We went to the same school, had the same opportunity. I fucked up, not them.
Right.
Like, it's not you have to be able to do that, right? Yeah, you could blame maybe my life at home hindered me from being able to do that, blah, 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 right? College is a choice, right?
Right.
And yeah, I just don't know if
I knew
I wasn't interested either.
I knew it wasn't for me. I mean, not like and I didn't know what I wanted to do. I mean, that's, I see young people get asked that all the time. I mean, all the time. And it's like, you're not supposed to, for the rest of your life, 18 years old, 17, you're not supposed to know. I mean, that's why I tell a lot of young people now, like, it's cool that you're here. I'm appreciative, but this is the time when you get a chance to throw darts at life. Figure things out.
Yeah,
you're just throwing darts, and hopefully one of them sticks. The main thing is that you're here, you're earning a degree. Just finish that. It's 2 years. It's not that big of a deal.
I think the key to feeling young is to always never stop throwing darts.
Yeah, for sure.
It's to never, if every dart you throw that you like where you landed, you put 100% effort into it, and you get to understand how you work and how you operate, then you know that, like, if you have interest in somewhere, you know what you're capable of with time and energy and effort. And then, I enjoy that aspect of my life. I didn't realize that till the last, maybe 3 years. I think the podcast opened up my eyes to, time plus effort equals results.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
and
if I knew that when I was in my 20s, dude, I would have applied so much other shit to my life. And I would, like you were saying, I wish I would have found motorcycling this way then. Like, I wish I would have came to that realization of just putting in time. You see those things on YouTube where people say all the time is like, are you willing to go recluse from the world for 6 months to change your life for the rest of your life and not be on the limelight of what people expect you to be and blah, blah, just go put in the work for 6 months to change your life,
right?
To come back out and fucking just, do something. Like, that shit it stung me a little bit. Like, fuck, man.
Well, I think a lot of people just lack discipline.
Yeah, 100%. That's why I like that.
It's so easy to be distracted. We have so many distractions. It's so easy to be distracted by friends. It's so easy to be distracted by a host of things. So,
devil's advocate, though, those distractions are what open your eyes to certain things. So it's like
it's a catch-22.
You want what I'm realizing as I try to become a motivational speaker, which I'm never going to be, is everything is a contradiction. Everything, like life in general is just one contradiction after the other, and it's more of like what can apply to you in your mental thought process right now to help you through this problem. And it might be some kind of Tony Robbins type shit to help you fucking get the shit you need to get through it. But yeah, it's all contradictions. Everything. You
know what my problem was it wasn't so much the discipline aspect of it. What it was is I got pretty damn good at something, or like just to the point of like almost being like really good. And then I'm like, oh, I'm good enough. Let me go try something else.
Yeah.
And that was so I became like overly decent at a lot of things, but never really good at something individual.
Me. That's 100% me.
That was me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, just master of none.
Exactly. That's exactly.
Well, I've said a lot about paint. It's like it gets to a point where like I'm a goal chaser, and if I don't have a goal to chase within something, then I lose my interest in it. And like I said, I've said this many times on other people's podcasts I've done. It's like I love paint, and I do not think I'm the best painter or the best anything in that. I don't think that at all, because I know so many amazing people are. But I've accumulated to the point where I get enough money to paint what I do that there's not much more I can make with adding that, right?
Right.
And so that doesn't inspire me to want to be better at it. You know, like to level up my airbrush game to be a little bit more better doesn't warrant any more money. And that's the killer of art. But at the same time, you know, I'm fucking 40 years old. I got a son that's got to get a car soon. You know, I got a wife that doesn't like the house we live in. So, you know, I got to fucking, I got to, you know, appease the world. You know what I'm saying?
No. Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of exterior pressures that factor into that.
So Jace is buying in Highland Park, I heard. Out of that. Fuck.
But, you know, it's also...
I drove through there recently. I was like, God damn. Damn. Nice ass Christmas lights.
Probably have $20 million price tags, too.
Oh, dude.
But it's also one of those things, too, where it's... look, we those jobs with those kinds of salary, they do exist in an industry where you could go and do that. You could go and pick up, but it's going to kill you as a person. Like, it's not creative for you.
Yeah.
You know, it like mentally, it's not good for you. And you know, and I try to express that to. I mean, when you come in contact with 50 plus young people a year or more, you know,
you definitely don't touch them, right? Rule number 1: don't touch them.
No, do not.
There's been a lot of fucking touching in Dallas-Fort Worth lately.
Do not Michael Jackson anyone.
Or even like the text. Do you even have is it possible to have a student's phone number and it be like a legitimate reason? I don't like when I read about that type of stuff. I'm like, why do you even have their cell phone number?
Most communication is through an email that they get from the school.
Yeah.
So there's really no reason for me to. No.
Yeah, so when I read those stories, I'm like, why would you even have their phone number? That's a legitimate reason or a thought that they should not even have their phone number.
Can I take you guys back to my original statement of when you go to the bar every week, you become that comfortable person they know.
Oh, yeah, I get it.
And so these kids that go to these schools, they see that teacher every week, and next thing it's like, man, I could fuck that little girl over there. You know what I mean? And it's fucked up. It's fucked up.
I can't. I mean, I just can't. I don't know. I guess because I have a daughter, it's hard.
Exactly. I got a fucking 21-year-old daughter where it doesn't. But it's like what I'm trying to say is like that concept of like familiarity.
Yeah.
It's like it becomes like a comfortable place for people, and they just live in that.
Well, I mean, you take
that dude's not going to the fucking. He's not going to goddamn Dallas Blonde to get pulling pussy or anything like that.
No. I mean,
he's got to go have a personality. He's got to go be somebody. He's got to do this. At school, he's like the guy that's old.
That's most of us there at the, that's most of us there. Fortunately, I've not had to witness or see anything like that.
I'm disappointed in the young men in these schools that are snitching on these old ladies.
Oh, in high schools?
They can't keep their mouth shut?
They can't keep their mouth shut,
yeah,
bro.
dude.
I mean,
come on, dude.
They're bragging them.
They're 15 years old. Come on. Like, they're running into... Look, I've witnessed it in high school.
So
we had a kid I went to... The first thing he did was come to a party and do the smell my finger, Miss Chambers. The cat was out of the bag, dude.
So with the increased female population amongst your students, do you have any relationship drama happen?
No, believe it or not. No, I mean, there are nothing that's not manageable. It's nothing that doesn't spill into my classroom or create a problem or a distraction. No. Fortunately, not yet. I'm pretty good about corralling that. Most of the students are pretty respectful. I'll give them that. Now, I've had some issues prior at another campus.
That campus was in the hood, though, dude.
Bro.
It was the hood when I went there in the 90s or the early 2000s. I'm not that old.
And look, they've done a lot to make that campus safer. But I remember when I started working there, my parents were scared. They were.
Good luck, son.
Yeah. I remember we had a couple of female students when I was a student there, and I remember Susie. She worked for State Farm. She was an older woman. I mean, she was 10, 15 years older than we were. But, we would all kind of leave the program together and we'd walk to the park. Well, the parking lot was pitch black. It was all just pea gravel next to a field right there on the corner of Oates and Motley. no lights. But I remember going out there and we'd walk her to her car. And I remember going out there one time and somebody stole her '86 Riviera.
Dude.
That was
Is that the one with the fucking the hump for the where the tire used to be?
Yeah.
Those fuckers were hot, dude.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, easy to steal too. Just smash the column. But that was the running joke. You could hear students leaving class. Oh man, they got me. Because somebody would either steal their stereo or steal their car. Dude. You know, and then they finally put some money into. Well, they built a police academy out there. That really helped.
Did y'all see like those memes recently that's come across the internet where they talked about how like people used to have those handles on the radios? Like when I grew up, we had handles on the radios where we would either, it started out, we take the whole radio out of the car and go into like a, then it turned into the faceplate.
Faceplate, yeah.
And then you have like, it's like a faceplate, and then you got a little styrofoam case, you put it in, throw it in your pocket.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you used to just fuck that case. You want them to see that Pioneer hanging out of your pocket. That Kenwood.
Alpine, yeah.
Mine had the dolphins on it.
Yes. Oh my God.
Oh,
yeah.
the dolphins
You
going
had the
across
dolphin on
in the LCD.
Yeah.
I can't, dude. I forget about that part of my life where car stereos, dude. Car stereos it was a part of my life, like a relationship.
Oh, yeah.
Like I dated car stereos for fucking 9 years of my adulthood. You know what I'm saying, or 10 years or whatever.
That was the first thing you did. Yeah, I was like, I got to get a system, and I remember. There was a place in Mesquite. I went and got I can't remember that. Probably best I don't. But I remember getting a system put in, and it got stolen. And I was telling some of my buddies at the time, like, oh, yeah, that's what they do. When you fill out that paper, they get your address. So they install it. That's why you get a good deal. And then they come over, they break in your car, and they steal your
There was a place in DeSoto that used to do that, too.
Hustling, dude.
Hustling. I ain't mad at him.
Shit, my buddy in high school had a Civic that it was Fast and Furious thing, so he had a wide body kit, but he did it right. He like molded it all in, looked legit, but he had a whole stereo set up when they first did the flip out screens. The very first one.
Yeah.
So we had a security guard on campus. Just somehow he always parked right there beside him every day. One day he's gone, and all of a sudden his stuff gets jacked.
Wow.
Dude, the Chris Rock special a long time ago where he walks into his neighbor's house and goes, heard you got robbed. And this the guy that stole all your shit. But no, that's crazy that was a part of, like, it as recent of like maybe 10 years ago. I remember putting stereos in baggers, you know what I'm saying? Because the old Road Glides, before they came out with the double din like infotainment center, we used to buy, they had a fucking plate you'd buy, and you could put a normal stereo, the flip out screen, all that type of shit in there. And you wanted to do that so you can get the preamp outs, so you can put an amp and put all your music on it. So I'm just so glad that headsets exist now, because I don't have to play that game anymore.
Right.
Like I use my bags for more than speakers nowadays, and things like that. But yeah, that's crazy how that was a world. Like every car magazine, lowrider, everything was wheels and stereos, wheels and stereos, wheels and stereos.
Oh, all the advertisers.
Yeah, so many Crutchfield ads.
Oh my.
Well,
God.
I don't know how that. There's a business here in Dallas called Car Toys, and it's basic. How is that still around?
When you say car toys like you've never heard of it before, it's weird to us. 'Cause
Yeah,
that's our last resort, because we couldn't get a better deal. So like, fuck it, well, Car Toys has it in stock, so I'll just go there.
Yeah.
Well, I just drive by and I see it, and I'm like, how is something like that still in business today?
Because there's so many parents that just their kids want it, and they run the.
They
car
sell a
over
lot
there.
of. They sell cell phones. They got it. They got a lot more than just car
they have
stereos.
home entertainment stuff.
Yes.
there, too,
Oh, they
on some
do?
of them, yeah.
Well, and then just think of everything, because I've been in there. I've dealt with them as a vendor before, but just dealing with them, like
You buy
go
from
there,
there weekly, don't you?
They'll have
I had a dealer account for a while.
they'll have boats, ATVs.
Oh yeah.
So think about all the other things, golf carts.
Neighborhood suburban golf carts
Yeah.
and boats, absolutely.
Neighborhood suburban golf carts are the new big wheel baggers. You
They
heard it
are.
here first.
You
heard it here first.
It's already been like that.
Yeah, the big
They put
neighborhood
lift kits
by
on those
me-
things?
They do.
Halloween
lights.
is the biggest time right there. The neighborhood by me has little homemade bars that they bring out for the adults so that the kids can go trick or treat. And they're like, hey, have a mixed drink right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they almost have like a little.
I'm mad at that.
It's almost like a little bike night for the golf carts too.
Yeah.
Like they do like little parades too.
Yeah.
It's like a little ride
They-
through the neighborhood.
They built this community over by us.
Just
called-
show up. Wife will let you have a motorcycle either. Nope. All right, welcome to the club, buddy.
Yeah, there's a community over by where we live, and it so it's apartments, townhomes, homes, shopping centers, the whole thing. Even like a 55 and up empty nesters living center, all golf cart driven. All like we've gone to some of the bars and restaurants over there in that area that cater to that area, and it's just limousine golf carts with stereo systems jacked up. It's
Damn.
But that neighborhood is built specifically to they'll
Sidewalks
advertise
are
it.
wide enough for golf carts to pass.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They'll
actually,
come in with all their.
These are
lights.
walking carts, motherfucker.
My neighborhood, like the back section, is the 55 and older section.
Okay.
So like, yeah, I've got that.
It's so wild. I'm like, Texas is wild. Like, I feel like it's just like only in Texas. Like, the rest of the time a golf cart is like on the golf course. I say that, and I think my dad bought some kind of electric ATV that he rides through Chanute, Kansas. I noticed that in Chanute, they made it legal where it's just a small town in southeast Kansas, maybe 8,000 population, but ATVs are legal on the street now.
Side by sides, for
Side
sure,
by
yeah.
sides. You have to have flags, and then they give you a plate, a specialty plate that you can run, but now that's all you see running up and down like Main Street.
You can buy
around.
turn signal kits for them. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So I'm like, all right. I always joke that, the reason I'd ask my friends that live there, I'm like, how come I'm like, they don't leave because their car won't go more than, an hour outside
They haven't
of town.
put gas in their shit in 6 months.
Well, no, because they're driving a car that's 30, 40 years old, and it's probably not going to make it more than 50 miles outside of the city.
And they've been Amazon Eats in their food for whatever. Like,
and then they buy an AT. I was like, you're still not leaving, dude. You're not going anywhere on that. So,
that's a weird one, man.
Texas,
I'm wondering what life is going to be like. Like, I'm 40, and I have no idea what 50 looks like. I have no preconceived notion of what 50 is going to look like for me.
I'm telling you right now, it's looking pretty good.
For who?
For me, for personally speaking, it's
For
looking,
your 50.
Yeah, I'm
Or-
saying, yeah, but I mean, like, if my 50's good, yours got to be even better.
How old are you?
I'm 48,
Okay.
Oh,
So-
okay. All right.
so I'm
Good
thinking,
genes, buddy. Good genes.
Yeah.
Strong.
well, it's definitely nobody. I can't hear the alcohol argument.
It's-
Like
right,
drinking
yeah.
too much is bad for you. Like, I haven't seen it yet.
Knock.
Yeah. Particle board.
2 more years.
Yeah, Marcus died. Whiskey overdose.
No, I think it's that's what fascinates me about getting older is how much younger people 10 years younger, like lifespans, like how much younger people look. If I look at like my grandfather at my age now,
Yeah.
old man.
Yeah.
If I look at my dad at this age, old man. I look at other family members and I'm like, oh wow, old man. But as the generations have gone down, it's like, yeah, you'd be hard pressed to think that guy was whatever age he is, 40, 30, whatever. So
Yeah, that's one thing I've definitely noticed. Like, being, I'm 40, so like in the early 90s when you see someone that was like 45 years old, like they were done. Like life was, they
that's
looked
a wrap,
60.
son. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a wrap. That's a wrap.
So,
Yeah, you got 5 years to bounce some grandkids.
you like
on
Clint
your-
Eastwood, who somehow is still alive. So
It's funny though how ethnicities can have like a different impact on that. Like I remember I worked with this Japanese woman. She was like 68 and I thought she was 40. I
Yeah,
mean, like
yeah.
the Japanese women just do not age.
Yeah, my neighbor, she lives across the street. I think she's in her 90s, and if I had to guess, I'd say 70s.
Yeah.
yeah.
Still
It's
walks.
like once
to the
you get
grocery-
over 60, like how do you even I can't. It's pin the tail and
yeah,
dog.
but when you can't tell, like when you can't tell.
But on the flip side of that, I'll probably get roasted for this one. I feel like Hispanic women, they are the opposite.
short span.
Because my grandma, she'll be 94 tomorrow, and she has looked the same to me since she was probably my age. Just a short little, leathered Hispanic lady.
We need to get a line on Vita Guerrero. Remember her? What was her name? Like the booty chick from back in the day. She used to be in all the lowrider magazines.
Oh yeah.
Vita Guerrero, something like that. You remember? Y'all, I can't be the only pervert here.
No, I remember who you talking about.
I know who you're talking about too.
She was in rap videos and everything. Mexican chick, but she was
You might
heavy.
be scared to Google the image, dude.
right.
She might have.
That is not her. That's not what I remember.
Brazzers got a hold of her.
He's super disappointed.
You're into grandma porn? Well, we got all the old hot ladies from the 90s porn.
I think it was Bike Night a couple weeks ago. We were talking about the Blink-182 chick and just how much she fell off.
Oh, Jesse James' old lady?
Oh yeah. But to me, it was like there was already a lot going on.
She was
there.
crazy, yeah.
Yeah, there was already kind of had the monster face going on.
He, James is, Jesse James has always had it figured out. Like, I'm going to date semi-crazy bitches. That way, if I make them more crazy, it's like they were kind of already crazy.
Right.
So it's not my fault. You see what I'm dealing with. You know what I'm saying? What a fucking life.
Dude, that's that's one of those guys for me that I always sharing with my students. It bums me out. It bummed me out when I got to the first group of students that had never heard of guys that to me were a big deal in the motorcycle industry. And for me, I'm always fascinated with craftsmen. I mean, that's what I gravitate towards because they do things I can't do. Look, I understand what they're doing, and I do possess some of that skill set, but I can't recreate what they're doing. So I'm always fascinated with anybody that does anything with their minds and their hand together.
Yeah.
He was one of them, though. Like all these TV shows that we got, the biker build-offs, like that's the grandfather of all that. For a lot of
100%.
nobody knows about Indian Larry if it wasn't for Jesse James.
True.
Nobody knows about Billy Lane if it wasn't for Jesse James. I mean, he introduced most of America, the general population of America, to this amazing, cool subculture. And I mean, that's what sucked me in for Harleys. I mean, this is like, early 2000s?
Yeah, we're 20 years past.
Yeah, we're 23 years in, and I'll never forget those images of seeing Jesse James. And, look, I always lived on the East Coast, and with skateboarding, we always emulated the West Coast. So everything that came in, Thrasher Magazine or Trans World, music and how you dressed, we all emulated, at least me and my friends, we emulated everything that came out of California. And so to see somebody, for me personally, that struck that chord, had that similar background, but with motorcycles, it just reignited. I'm in my late 20s at this point. It just reignited this passion in me that I had as a young kid skating, to see that.
I think it was the right time, right place.
Oh, for
not
sure.
to say that it wasn't like the talent wasn't warranted. It was just like media was becoming, what was it? It's hard for people to grasp their heads around this, but reality TV was becoming a thing.
Yep.
When the whole Monster Garage and the biker build-off ship happened, right? I'm already starting to slur my words.
We're 3/4 of the way through the bottom.
So I remember growing up when media, like TV, was changing, when it was like reality TV was all the new rage, right? No more Married with Children and 90210 and said fucking sitcom at night, Friends, whatever it was, became like Survivor.
Yeah.
And the Real World, which Real World's been going around since the 90s, but it was all about that, right? And then this biker build-off stuff happened, and Jesse James with this, it was just like out of happenstance, it created this lasting thing that's it's still impacting people today.
Yeah.
20 years later, right? And we're all still like this generation or the last 10 years of bikers, we're still living in the shadows of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, so as much as it is a blessing, it's also a curse.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's like, it's hard for us to get out and impact the world the way, impact the world in like nowadays and age, because most of the people that are still consuming Harley Davidson are stuck in what took place 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And those aren't real bikers nowadays. These fucking, FAGs.
I mean, you should
almost like
say it.
I'm gonna start doing it like it's a child, so that I don't get demonetized. These dudes are not like the real bikers of the 2000s. You know what I'm saying? Like all this, that, and the other. It's like I think we are. I think we are. I think we're all descendants of what we were inspired to by them, and we just like every generation, you take what's available to you and you make it apply to your life. And you know, we're still traveling on motorcycles. We're still sleeping in the dirt at campouts, getting drunk. It's just that we have podcasts and YouTube influencers and repost pages and fucking all these things that didn't exist 20 years ago. But the world that still runs the motorcycle industry won't accept the fact that this is the way the world is now.
Right.
And they won't shine light on all these motherfuckers that are making it exist.
Right.
For sure.
Right.
And it's funny because now people from that era are now doing what we do. Billy Lane has a
Billy Lane.
YouTube channel now.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh yeah, now YouTube's legit now because Billy. No. He's not a shade tree surgeon or a blockhead or these dudes that have been fucking doing YouTube for years to create this fucking platform for us, right? He's an adopter to something he never created.
Right.
It's just crazy to me.
Well, I mean, it's
And I love the dude. I'd love to have him on the podcast, and I think what he's doing is dope. But at the same time, it's like, bro, like, you know, I remember this rap song. I cannot tell you what rap song it was. I cannot even tell you the lyrics, but it went this way: old heads didn't feed us, so we took it from them. And basically, how I interpret that is, the OGs never shined any light on us, so we took all the limelight from them. And it sounds fucked up to say, because I try to fucking, like, my whole thing is about shining light on everybody that exists. But if you're Billy Lane and you're not like an ambassador to this world, you're just taking still.
Yeah.
You're just taking.
You know, those guys grew up in a really old school, hard side of this motorcycle community where there were a lot of gatekeepers. And I still think
Now they're the gatekeepers.
Now they're the gatekeepers, yeah. You know, I think the lesson that I try to use with some of these guys is just examples. Because, I mean, you know, look, this is... I try to relate it in a sense from a trade set. You know, motorcycles is totally separate.
Yeah.
You know, but you know what young people can take away from. I just want them to have blue collar heroes in general. So sharing
Blue collar heroes. I love
sharing guys that I look up to, you know, like you know, Adam Garley and Corey and yourself and other guys that, you know, that not just local Moose and you know, Jordan Ford, and there's but larger scaling out from there, Ron Covell and Josh Allison and you know all these Justin, all these amazing talented guys that work with their hands, that these young people can maybe get some avenues, and now we have it with you know Barbie the welder and
Ray Ripple.
Yeah, I mean, like, so there are all these other ways, and they're taking, look, before Jesse James, Discovery Channel was just about animals.
Yeah. The
You
good
know,
old days.
The good old days. Right? But, you know, so you have to look at his marketing and not just the building motorcycles, but how he marketed T-shirts and an image.
Sorry, I immediately went to let's do it like they do on the Discovery. Like that immediately went in my head when you said that.
Some blood out game. Okay, dude, I'm here for it. You know?
Now we need our monkey suits.
Oh man, somebody's got to play that at the camp out now.
Sweat.
We'll get Dolly to play that on her DJing.
Go request it.
Dolly asked me, shows up, what should I play? I was like, I don't know. Good luck.
Text her right now and say Bloodhound Gang.
For people who don't know, Dolly's the big black Amazon chick that hangs around with us all the time, but she's more into death metal than anything you would think that she's into.
Yeah, but she DJs a lot of rap, I think, because that's what.
That's the culture. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's what everyone wants.
I don't think people DJ death metal.
Kyle might know.
Kyle would.
Kyle might know. Kyle's at my place as they do.
Yeah,
You're not filling a bar in Deep Ellum with that. No.
Yeah. Not nowadays, at least. Yeah.
Does she go by DJ Black Cat? Is that her? thing. Is that what it is?
Nice.
I guess it makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, play on words.
Yeah.
Or play on colors.
And I think is the B a 6? I think I saw too. Kind of like the Dead Mouse vibe.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh.
So I think it's DJ and then black, but the B is a 6.
Oh, okay. All right. I don't.
I'm
know.
not old. I'm not young enough to understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know enough about. Was it EDM?
I had an old guy that was listening to music and he heard Dead Mouse and he called it Dead Mouse 5.
Dead Mouse 5?
Yeah, I was like, no.
I used to say that, and I still don't know what they say.
Yeah, I've heard that a bunch.
Boomer. Also,
We got anything on the chat?
yeah, Mike, what does he go by now? Is it still FXR Mike or is it
I just-
Big Body Mike? You know, working on the
I
cars?
just go with Mike.
Yeah,
I
He's-
consider him a friend, so I just say Mike.
yeah, Mike. Well,
Mike-
for everyone else out there.
Right. FXR Mike.
Yeah.
Goldwing Mike.
He's happy that you're on here finally.
Oh,
Yeah.
Out of all the years you could have been on here.
Mike is another one of those guys as far as fabricators and craftsmen that just blows my mind. And he is so. I think what blows my mind the most about Mike is how modest he is. He's a lot like Corey in the sense where he just so behind the scenes, but will help anyone. Has a wealth of knowledge, but for sure one of those guys that I think. If you work with your hands, and especially if you're into motorcycles, you're sleeping if you don't know who Mike is. He's a fucking
Yeah.
great dude. There's too many to name. We're so fortunate in Dallas to have all these guys that are just a phone call away, especially in this motorcycle community here.
Yeah, we're pretty grateful to be in this scene. This scene's great.
Yeah.
Well, it helps out like with you and me having the automotive side, all the people that go around, but then they can sort of tie in with some of the motorcycle.
Right.
Like
Right.
I still have some friends that I worked with that like, hey, this guy, he's working on a car, but he's followed you because he saw something about your bike or, and then I just now forget Jeff.
Old bike
Milburn.
board. Jeff Milburn.
Yeah.
Jeff Milburn. Oh yeah. Another one.
So
Another dude.
because my buddy I worked with used to work with him, so that's how I met him because we went to his shop because at the time he only was like a mile away from us, so we went at lunch a couple times and
Yeah.
seeing his shop that was crazy looking at all the stuff he did.
Yeah, another amazing craftsman, another amazing shop. I mean,
Yeah.
there's just so many here in Dallas. It's just super fortunate. And I, like I said, just trying to, it's like sometimes it's just like I feel like I'm talking to myself a lot about it, But you can ask other people too, like who's a big deal to you, and I've never heard of them. I'm like, okay, well, here we are.
Yeah.
Here we are. So, but I think it was important for me, and I can remember what all those shows did, the biker build offs. And I can remember being at Eastfield, I think I was I was working as a lab assistant my first year teaching. And we had all these students that would come in and like, I want to be the next Jesse James. I want to be the next Indian Larry. And they're in a collision program, but I know that I have to learn these skills first before I can progress into something else. And, a lot of those guys, that was about the same time, it's the same age. So it's, Adam Garley's, Chris Moose,
It's me. That's my
you,
generation.
Mike, FXR Mike, like all of us were around that same age. And I get worried that we might be the last ones that pursue all these creative ventures that come out of. Look, I'm putting people to work for Tesla and Sewell and Mercedes, and I've put a couple guys in some custom shops, but it's not like it was like we don't have Iron Horses and Starwood Motors or.
Well, as Henry Rollins said, not everybody gets to sell the seas of uncertainty. So if you want to jump out here and you want to be in this world of uncertainty, like it's very hard to work in the motorcycle world and have all the same comforts that you would get if you just had a basic job. You know what I mean? It's like there's a trade-off. Like you get to work on bikes all day long, so you're never going to make quite the same amount of money that if you were just a manager at fucking AutoZone.
Right.
You know what I mean? You got to figure out how to pay taxes. They're going to take more money for you from taxes. You got to become a brand. And then like in the 2000s, it was just easy. Like I want to build a cool bike, and then people would want to buy bikes. And then the 2010s hit, and then it became, well, now you got to be an influencer.
Yeah.
You can't just be a fucking guy that knows how to weld. You got to be a guy that can show the world you know how to weld in a very pleasing way so that you become something new. It's like every year there's a new set of parameters that you have to follow to stay relevant in this ever-changing world of social media, because there's no Discovery Channel knocking on the door to fucking put you out there. There's no magazine. None of these old heads are doing that, because they're all, if anything, they've shown me that everything they don't do that.
Right.
They're all fucking broke. They're still doing the same shit they did when they were 20 to make money. Like the only one that figured it out was Jesse James, because he fucking had a T-shirt, he sold it to Walmart, and he made fucking millions of dollars, right?
Yep.
So yes, I'm gonna take that initiative and build a brand. A brand is more important than me standing apart.
Sure. 100%.
So it's like everybody doesn't think, oh, I want to be the cool guy. Jesse James sold out. I want to be the guy like that never sold out, and he just still works hard every day. That guy doesn't want to do that.
Good luck with that.
How I
Fuck
think
off.
it is, you have to learn how to adapt.
Adapt, you know?
Well-
Because like looking at forums and stuff, like just about body work in general, there's this guy that's like, that's not how it needs to be done. It needs to be with 80 grit in this. And it's like,
Go get a
old
fucking
school,
teaching
like-
job, faggot.
yeah, I was like,
Stop
that
using
was
the
like
letters.
Back in your day. Now it's like I don't even go below 120. It's like that,
The whiskey too.
Yeah, it's,
Yeah, and, to your point now, like we had Kiko.
Sorry, compressor, I didn't turn it off.
That's all right.
It's a
Kiko,
real shop.
Right, yeah.
Kiko. Well, just how much PDR has moved into the collision repair industry. So normally if you fix a dent, you're taking some paint off, you're using some kind of weld-on attachment, and you're fixing the dent. And now most OEMs, they don't want you to do that. Like that's all OEMs. Don't mess with our paint, don't mess with our corrosion protection. So we've seen
It's like an IP related thing or something?
they just don't want you tampering with the corrosion protection capabilities.
the factory corrosion protection on there is the best that you
Yeah.
can get.
Yeah, so
Okay.
they
Says
there's-
the people that have
yeah.
cars that are faded after 4 years.
well, so
Times
traditionally, so now Kiko. We've been using these Kiko glue pull kits, and but it's one of those things you can't get stuck in this. Well, this is just how things get done.
Yeah.
So we're constantly having to learn new skill sets and then share them with like, well, this is how we used to do things. Now this is how we do it. It's cleaner, it's neater. You get to see instant results. It actually pushes people that learn that way into the PDR. It makes it easier for them to jump into a PDR format, paintless dent repair format,
Yeah.
as opposed to just the old dirty man with a cigarette in his mouth grinding paint off and welding something to a panel and pulling the dent out. It's completely different.
Yeah.
So it's a lot more. It's cleaner.
It's a
and
lot less evasive.
A lot less of it invasive. Yeah, exactly. So, but that's part of it. You're right. I mean, it's like this is all about adaptation and changing. You have to, and you have to look at it not just from this market segment or cultural point of view. You have to look at it as an entrepreneur and a small business operator. I mean, you have to constantly change.
The car manufacturers are changing all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, when I first started, before I quit the dealership, was completely different. That was 15 years of change the whole time. By the end, like I wasn't doing as much welding. I was doing more riveting and gluing.
Right.
That was manufacturer recommended now. It is just as good or better than welding with certain repairs.
If you take that same perspective and look at you and I remember you telling me this a long time ago, back in the big wheel bagger days, like how important having a brand was. That lasts longer. That's more important than the paint job I put on this bike. That's what's going to last. That's what's going to give me a springboard for opportunities for other things. And you can't be more right. I mean, all it takes is one cool graphic or shirt or, you know, piece of merch, or you're scratching and clawing all the time. But it has to be more than just paint jobs. It's no different than with a lot of things. You have to have a bunch of different avenues where you can create new customer bases as well as keep old ones maybe wanting to come back for more. And it has to be more. Look, you can only paint so many helmets. You can only paint so many bikes. You know, like, and we all time out. We get old enough where we time out. With this, you and I, Matt, we've grown up in physical skill set jobs, and at some point,
Blue collar fucking Jake over here.
I was gonna say,
Or no, white collar Jake.
Hey, I just want to say I grew up on a farm. All right, so the level of
We can tell you got muscles.
the level of ingenuity.
By the way, you didn't get the memo. No guns.
Jake is. If I had to guess, Jake is Kansas corn-fed. This dude,
Illinois, right?
I'm a Illinois club style. You know, I was talking with the guy. I bought the hat and the shirt. Well, he actually sent me the shirt for free, thankfully. But yeah, so I had to support club style Illinois.
Yeah. He's a corn-fed dude over here.
Yeah. Midwest.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%. But you know,
There's something about the Midwest people though. Like I fuck with them, 100%.
I spent my summers in Kansas, and all my family's from Kansas. So you know, most of the guys that I spent my summers with were just these corn-fed, you know, farmer son. You know, their dads were farmers, all in agriculture, just corn-fed, wild ass. First of all, Midwest parties like nobody else, dude. I don't care what. There's a reason it's the meth capital of the world.
There for a while, University of Iowa was the #1 party university in America.
So,
I believe it.
Did you go to North Carolina?
I got my master's degree from Carolina.
What was that like going? Did you go to the school and
UNC?
everything?
Yeah,
UNC?
Chapel Hill. Yeah.
What was that experience like from what you're allowed to tell me? Or tell the world, actually.
Well, from a master's degree,
I
it's
didn't
different.
know you were a Tar Heel, dude.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my
I
God,
fucking
no.
I painted his whole bike like a Tar Heel.
I
dude.
know. I never drew the correlation. I didn't know that.
That's why I like the
What year?
17 through 19. So it was recent.
Okay, nice.
Nice.
Yeah. You know, I was, you know, being on campus and stuff like that. It was amazing. It's a beautiful campus. It really, it's beautiful.
Did you ever pee in a toilet that you think Jordan peed in? Maybe.
Oh, for sure.
For sure.
Actually, what's really
Testing your
cool?
penis.
There is a bar. There's a bar there that I've got my name on a plaque there for doing 100 pickleback shots. But yeah, but in that bathroom, in the urinal, you go in there, and the urinal cake is Coach K's face.
Really?
Yeah, so you are
From Duke?
yeah the coach from
That's
Duke.
awesome. Yeah.
Because it's only 8 miles away.
Yeah,
Duke
yeah.
is.
Yeah. I mean, I grew up there, Fayetteville, Goldsboro.
Yeah.
I spent, I think.
Greensboro, right?
No, Goldsboro.
Goldsboro?
A smaller town.
Oh yeah.
Very tiny town.
I've spent a lot of time in Greensboro.
Yeah. So I spent at least 8 years in the Carolinas. But that's basketball country, son. I was there when
yeah.
Jordan was playing for UNC.
Has anyone seen the Air movie yet?
Yeah, I just watched
yeah.
it.
Did you?
I went and watched it in a group chat I'm in. I put it out there, say, hey, anybody do anything tonight? And of course, everybody was busy, which not to their fault. It was last minute. So I went and got me a steak that I told you about earlier today, and then I went and got me a movie ticket to go watch the Air
Was
movie.
it good? I want to see it.
I was telling my buddy about. I think I told Jaden this yesterday. It's a good old school style movie. It's not winning awards because of Avatar like fucking graphics. Of
course.
It's not as much about Jordan as you would think it is about Jordan. It's about this thing that took place behind Jordan, right? Mm-hmm. It's 100% a movie that when it comes out on DVD, or not even DVD, download.
When it streams, it's
Yeah,
going
it streams.
to be
100%.
crazy.
Yeah, it's a good fun movie night for that.
I assumed it would be similar to, help me out, the Oakland Athletics, Brad Pitt.
Oh, that was
Moneyball.
Moneyball.
I
That was a good
assumed
one.
it would be along that line.
It's close, but I mean, you know, I was talking to somebody, I can't remember where, but recently I was having this conversation that like my childhood is becoming movies now, and that's a weird thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right. So Jordan, of course, this took place in like '84, so I was literally 2 years old, right? But these stories that I'm hearing, though, it's like starting to resonate harder because even though I wasn't coherent at that time, it's a part of my lifetime as being a human, right? and it's only going to get more. I mean, think about how many fucking amazing stories from 1982 to 2002 that are going to start to as these movie companies are looking for stories to extract and turn into to just get the millennial demographic to go watch. It's going to be amazing. And the Jordan story, just like, did you ever watch the Showtime thing on HBO Max about like Magic Johnson going with the Lakers and Gary Busey or however, like, it was called Showtime, and it was
the HBO series about the
amazing,
about the incredible,
amazing, great fucking great series,
yeah,
right?
If well, you don't even have to be a basketball fan, but that series
It's got boobs. Thank God for HBO. Keeping it real for us men out there.
Dude,
show me them titties.
That show was incredible. But yeah, I was a kid, big Larry Bird fan. One of my best friends was from Boston. So he was a big Celtics fan. Dude, they had Parrish.
Okay.
They had their token player.
The first token of the token series, yeah.
Yeah, that was man. I think there were so many memories I established with those years of basketball that it just kind of it's really hard to watch basketball for me now. Like the years of the Celtics and the Lakers and the Bulls and the Pistons. When the Pistons had their run, and I look at basketball, it just looks soft to me. It just like the players look soft. And I feel the same way about football. Like I moved here in '90. One of the coolest things my dad did do was get us some season tickets for the Cowboys when a middle class family could afford season tickets. Tailgating was free, but going to those and seeing those Cowboys era, the golden era. I'm like everything after. I'm like, you guys don't. Nobody knows.
I can't remember. I think it was Gino just a couple days ago, or maybe it was today or yesterday. He posted, because I don't know if you guys saw in the hockey playoffs recently, a dude like took a skate to the face and like got 72 stitches and then came back into the game. And then in the Lakers playoff game, LeBron like takes like the softest hit and falls down and is like crying on the ground. And he was just like, man, dude, like, where are we at?
That's what I'm saying. I'm just like,
it's going back to Moneyball. Basically, a lot of sports turned into like a number saying, like, if we can get more of this, more of that. And that's why, like, I feel like watching The Last Dance needs to be something that every kid in high school watches.
I think I'm going to have to rewatch this now. I'm going to have Stephanie fill me in on what I missed, but
because it's not even about the Bulls. Like, it's about teams too. Like
it's about like the hunger of one man that achieved that willed himself to the top of all sports that's ever. Michael Jordan is the most famous name in sports ever. Ever.
Yeah.
Period. And it's like, to take something that was like thought of as if you go watch the whole like Lakers or not Lakers, the Lakers and Celtics thing, that whole thing was like built, like the hype was built around racism. If you go back and look at history,
sure.
It was. I mean, it was. That sold that created an advertisement. But Jordan was this transcendent like being that came into the league, and everybody wanted to see Jordan play.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. And I grew up in that era where the Mavericks tickets were shit until the Bulls came to town, and all of a sudden they made money. Yep. And when you watch this movie Air that is about Jordan signing, like, if this is factual, which I believe it is, that changed everything in sports that we know it as our 100%. Like, every signature shoe that was ever made after the Jordan era was something that was like the players actually made money, instead of like, hey, we'll give you $2,500 or $250,000 to wear our shoes this season.
Right.
Jordan's became like, okay, give me my shoe that's mine, and then I want a percentage of every shoe that like gets sold,
and stock options and
all that shit. So it's like I don't know. I mean, all these things are things like how can that mentality, watching Jordan, the way he carried himself in The Last Dance, I can watch that and apply that to myself in my life.
Absolutely,
Yes,
you can.
absolutely.
And if you can't watch those things and take inspiration, then you, my friend, unfortunately, like you're a worker.
Right.
You're a worker bee. You're not an idea guy. You're not you're not going out there. You're just a consumer.
Yeah.
You're somebody that is as important as the creator, because without a consumer, there's no reason to create, right?
Well, I mean, if
For
that,
sure.
if it doesn't inspire you into the amazing spirit of the human being, and that a dude like that exists, and that we got to be alive while he played, and the whole thing is incredible.
What the internet should have showed a lot of people, what it showed me was, and not that I'm successful by any means. I think you guys kill me in financials, but the point
That's
is,
not the winner.
No,
the point
that's
is,
not the winner.
the point is that it inspired me to not settle for anything less than everything I want in my life, right?
Right.
And like I just feel like I would rather live a life of trying to achieve the things I want to do in life than accepting that I'm never going to do this.
Right.
Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. I mean, look, my hats off go to any entrepreneur and small business owner, and that's after me sticking my toes in it for a little bit. I don't have the salt for it. I don't. I don't have the wherewithal. It's just not in me. I know where my place is, but so my hat. I'm always in awe of anybody that runs their own shit. It's their show, 100%. People just don't know. They think that, oh man, it's so great, I'm my own boss, and I'm like, that's a double-edged sword. It's a double-edged sword. There's so much that rides on you. Know how much responsibility rides on that person's shoulders?
Yeah, dude. It's a tough one. I mean, I think anytime, like any career path, you get to a point where you have a lot of responsibility. That responsibility gives you purpose, and that purpose is what continues to make you great at what you do in your life if you rise to the challenge, right? Rise to the occasion. Being an entrepreneur is I hate that word because it's gotten kind of conflated over the last handful of years because
social media and the internet's ruined it.
Yeah,
So I say small business owner.
I think I don't know. I don't even think of myself as a good businessman. I think of myself as just like needless, like carelessly living life and trying to capture some of it to turn it into some money. Like I feel like I'm living a great life where I'm just running down a hall and there's this cool thing that I'm like, I have ADD, so squirrel, but there's money everywhere. And I'm like, every once in a while, like someone hits my arm. Oh, okay, cool. Oh shit, cool. It's like the prize is down there, and then like the hustle, like the drive to get there.
Or is it you're in one of those like vacuum tubes where all the money's flying around and you're like the person that's trying to like grab it all and it's like flying past you?
It's probably, I mean, like if I just...
Except in Jace's case, there's just like racks of D's outside. And I can't pay attention.
I like D's. No, there's no, as a painter, if I just focused on painting bikes and answered all the fucking Instagram messages and emails and phone calls that happen every day just to paint bikes, this podcast wouldn't exist. So much would not exist. Yeah. But I would be financially okay.
Right. Sure.
I don't know if I'd be happy.
That's what I'm saying. You're mental,
But yeah, I have that opportunity. I can just go do that for a living. Mm-hmm. Right. Then this took place, and this has been a labor of love. I spent a lot of money to get it off the ground. Who knows how much I put in versus has it gained? I think it's for sure I've been able to make more money than I've spent by now. But at the same time, like now it's one of these deals where, okay, like this much money comes in. Okay, let me, $500 a month goes towards like my man over here, whoever's going to run the cameras, or 6 or 7, depending on how many podcasts we do. Next thing you know, like get this person in. Like I've had $100 fucking grocery store buys of beer and ice and shit like that.
Right.
Like next thing you know, like that paycheck that you get is not you're trying to, the goal is to make the best possible episodes as possible. And whatever it costs to make that happen, if it's remodeling the studio for no fucking reason, stupid idea, but then you got to do it, or, hey, let me hoard the money for like a month or two and let me go on the road for 2 months or 2 weeks and get podcasts and just, you know what I mean? Like was it the right reason, right thing to do? Should I stayed here and painted? I mean, the good thing is I still got like 13 episodes or 12 episodes to release. Like you're always feeling like, was that a good idea or a bad idea?
Well, it all rests on you.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's the tough part is the level of confidence that you have to push through that either way, right or wrong, indifferent, you'll learn your lessons as you go through it. It's people just don't know, man. They just, that most people just have no idea how difficult it is. And I remember, working for my mentor, and he had left the business and he'd opened up a pizza restaurant. Now he grew up in food services. His dad owned restaurants. So he felt, this is comfortable. I'll go back to what I know. I'll be able to work close to home. And he did that for, 4 or 5 years with this pizza restaurant close to the school. And he was like, I ended up working more hours. And he was like, I just wanted to go back to just collecting a check. He's like, I wanted more
I've been there a lot.
Yeah.
I've been there a lot.
I don't judge anybody either way. I never judged him for that. I don't judge anyone. But it's that hard. When you want, and he ran a successful business. It's not like it went under. It just became more than he was willing to put into it. And when you're trying to raise 3 kids and have a happy marriage, you have to factor all those things in. He's like, I didn't want to sacrifice being a good dad, being a good husband in the order to keep this business going.
Yeah.
So, I totally get it. And I don't judge anyone either way. I just, you get a lot of young people that, especially through social media, oh, well, I'm going to run my own business. And I don't care if you're running a TikTok page. It's a business. It's work. Mm-hmm. There's creative content you have to come up with constantly. I mean,
evolving and changing.
Stay relevant, too.
Yeah. Who were the 2 young kids that Joe Rogan had on that now they're doing the haunted house thing? Did you catch that one?
I remember, but I don't know who their names are.
Very interesting just to see a early 20s something perspective that basically built a social media, a channel, and then they're trying to make it relevant as they're getting older. And they even expressed how much work goes into this and how difficult it is. And I'm like, I know some adults that couldn't grind that out,
Yeah.
The amount of hours that go into that. So
there's a kid I used to work out with, through a group, and I think he's like 23 years old, and he's got like 750,000 followers, and he's like just posting 2 or 3 things a day and that type of a thing. And what I see is very basic content, but it's still, I'm just sitting there going like, wow. And that is his only job is.
I ain't mad at him.
No,
right.
I'm not mad at him, but I think the conservative part of me, I'm not a risk taker at all. So the long term, I'm like, well, how long does that last? How long can you do that? Like if that, you know what I mean? Like what's next after that? Like if this
what's the shelf life type of thing?
What's the shelf life on that? Like what do you do after that? Like what else do you have? Merchandise? Do you have another venture that you're going to pursue?
Because if things fall out.
Right.
I mean,
or the internet shuts down for a day. I remember what was it? Instagram quit working for a day.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah. I was like, I was just the panic on some people's face.
Yeah.
Well, for me, and I can speak from this, from my experience of it, it's like gaining whatever number of followers I have on Instagram was about. For a while, it was a long okay. Oh yeah, more followers, more eyes, more opportunity, right? But then, the opportunity got to the point where it was like it's the same opportunity across the board, whether you got 1,000 followers or 60,000. It's the same people,
right?
Mm-hmm. Some of it might be easier at 60,000 followers. You might have an easier conversation selling yourself,
right,
as opposed to the 1,000 whatever. But sometimes I like being in that position for a challenge. But I don't like the fact that my whole life resides on an app. My whole existence can live or die by this one app's like decisions. And over the last year and a half, as Instagram has kind of changed their kind of monologue as like, now we're a fucking video platform place when they're really fucking not. Even today they're not. To becoming more, portrait mode content. It made me realize like, all right, well, I don't want to play that game.
Right.
Now it's time to put my money where my mouth is and go be in YouTube and go do it.
Right.
And I didn't want to. I really didn't. Honestly, if Justin and Wheelo Skilo didn't jump in it, they were my driving force. And to this day, forever, I will always say it's because of them. Because when Wheelo took the jump, I needed him to do it for me to feel like, okay, the water's warm enough.
Right.
I'll jump in there too.
And I like what they're doing.
Yeah,
I really do.
Yeah.
They are. There's not a whole lot of motorcycle YouTube content that I'll digest. Theirs is one of them. When I saw theirs pop off, and then of course I would just listen to this show on YouTube. But when I said theirs pop off, and I was like, okay, well this is cool. And he's look, both those guys are just super charismatic. But for sure, if they're doing it, then yeah.
And they're keeping it around that 10-minute mark.
Yeah.
Which is like the perfect time.
Yeah.
Like anytime I see a YouTube video that's like an hour or longer, no freaking way am I gonna go watch that.
Yeah.
No way.
Well,
I'm the same way. Like I feel like a 10 to 15 minute video, and today I dropped a 15-minute video, and I really was trying to figure out how to make it 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But because I want my shit to be 10 minutes long, and when I do drop that hour, trust me,
It's gonna be gold.
trust me, that 20 minute, that 30 minute, that hour, that 45
canceled.
minute, 100%. I want people, I want people to know like, hey, look, this is worth it.
Right.
And I think that's one thing that like by doing a podcast for years is like you kind of start to figure out like, the hard thing to say to me, and I hear this so much in my life, I don't care what people think.
Yeah.
I don't care. I'm who I am. They should, all this type of stuff. Like I get it. There's a contradiction. Remember, life is nothing but contradictions back and forth. Because there's a place in life where that mentality is exactly who you need to be. But there's also a place in life where you need to be concerned with how people feel and think about who you are. Like, I'm not saying that I will dictate like who I am to appease an audience. If I can't be somebody the audience wants, then this isn't a place for me to be.
Right.
So what I'm trying to get at is basically like, as I start doing this YouTube, I need to find a way to make my life palatable to everybody out there, but still be my life. Not my life is changing to appease to them. I'm finding a way to show them my life in a way that they can handle it.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Because nobody's life is, no matter who it is, like Jesse James's life is not that interesting to walk around every fucking minute of the day and just see, okay, I'm going to take a shit. Can I get a minute?
Right.
Like nobody cares. Like,
Well, even
the world is
Yeah.
what I realized is like, as a consumer of YouTube for years and years now, I realized that I don't want pauses in dialogue. So when you see these jump cuts, like when you're editing a video, and the way I talk on a podcast is the same way I talk on the YouTube, but on the YouTube, I cut every gap is cut, and bam, 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 it keeps going. And overall, it shaves like 2 or 3 minutes off a video, and people are listening to. They're not. Oh, did he just jump cut over there? Oh, no, what's going on? Like they stay engaged.
Right.
And it's just this weird thing. Like I put so much pressure on myself to want to be a better speaker, and realizing that I could fix it in post. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Pretty much.
Yep.
And I don't know. I still want to be a better speaker. Like I didn't want to take that away from Corey whenever I put that episode out today. That Corey is much better at speaking, and I didn't want to jump cut his dialogue in there because it was natural, and I wanted to show the world that like there are people out there that they can say what they think and how they feel in a way that is not full of likes and ums and
Right.
You know, you know what I'm saying?
Know what I'm saying?
All these things. I'm not that person, but he is, and that needs to be celebrated because that is a skill that I think that most of us don't think of as skills.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
No. I'll have students that I'm like, you really need to take a speech class. Like
Your students?
Oh yeah.
You're doing good.
They
We have to break into the reserves over here, dude.
I say we got you got a preference over here?
No, but Corey is one of those. Corey is for sure one of those.
We went
guys.
over 2 hours, didn't we? Yeah. Fuck.
Corey is for sure one of those guys that he's a great
fun.
orator. Yeah.
Which one should we do? I need to make this not the Fast Life podcast anymore. This is supposed to be something different.
You can cap it anytime you want. It's your
I'm
show.
having fun though.
It's your show.
So this is going to be the hardest to find right here. So
Old Forester birthday
the
bourbon.
birthday bourbon right there. That's going to be the hardest to find that you can get your hands on today. That we have right here.
Do we know if that bottle is made after the shape of their still?
That I couldn't tell you.
I know Willet does that. That's the only reason I asked.
That Willet bottle's badass,
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah, but it mimics their still.
So they do an annual release of that, and it's to celebrate the owner of or the creator of Old Forester's birthday. They always release it on his birthday.
I wonder how many bottles they do.
Pretty sure I fucked it up by putting it over ice.
No, it's not.
To A1 sauce.
To pace.
I love it. Dude, whiskey's amazing.
It's wonderful. We never even talked about that. Like how all of us ended up, which is weird for you to be drinking whiskey.
Yeah.
Gotta try some
At
of this
this
now.
I got whiskey stories.
But for you to end up on like at this level,
Yeah.
with whiskey, because for a long time you're like, liquor, I'm just not really my jam. Like
Yeah.
I'm gonna end up being sick somewhere. It's not really my thing. And then now where it's like, do you even drink beer anymore?
I do kinda, but I don't know. I think a liquor drunk or a liquor hangover is easier for me than a beer hangover.
Oh, yeah.
It's not that like I think it's my age. At 40 years old, like when I drink a lot of beer, I feel bloated, I feel gross, I feel lethargic.
Yep.
Liquor, I just feel dehydrated. Like good thing.
Yeah.
They make water. It's easy.
Topo Chico to the rescue.
Yeah. Well, all right, I guess to reel it back in, guys, I wanted to start a new podcast or a new segment where we kind of like take a bottle of whiskey, we drink it amongst the people here, and we kind of similar conversations, but more scheduled or more like segmented. And I fucked that up on this podcast.
No, it's fine. But I tell you what, like if we want to talk about this, I thought it was a very good whiskey.
It's not bad, dude. I enjoyed it.
It was a 12-year Pendleton rye, Canadian rye whiskey, 80 proof, and it was pretty tasty. I can't. What do you have to say about it? I don't have anything on the mash bill, but
So as far as a rye goes,
I haven't been much of a Canadian whiskey guy.
That's my only gripe with Canadian ryes is they don't have a lot of rye flavor. So
Okay.
for me, if I have a traditional rye, I want to like eating a piece of rye bread. So you want all that rye grain, those peppery hits. Now, aside from that, it's smooth. I mean, it's a great.
Dude, I had no problem drinking it straight. I never had to get my topos.
None of us had it
over here. I had some topos just in case.
No, it's a great sipping whiskey. Obviously, we killed the bottle.
2 hours.
Yeah. No, I've got no complaints.
Matt's taking big pulls over there, though. He's probably.
yeah, he's helping. What do you think of that birthday bourbon?
It's good.
Yeah.
So this one, like, just drink it neat and it's just fine.
Right.
So, but it's smooth, clean.
Yeah.
I really thought about making this whole podcast where everybody that shows up has to wear collared shirts. Because I got like 3 shirts collared and I never wear them anywhere.
We can do that.
I thought about it, like I want to make this thing distinguished, but
Well, I almost I almost brought a cigar and not to actually light it up.
I was
and
going
be
to
a-
bring some.
and then to be like, oh, I saw Big Trouble in here smoking, so like, why can't
And
we?
Danger Dan. And I'm like, I do a new studio and everyone wants to smoke in here now. It's like,
I don't have the air filtration system for that.
there's not enough money in this podcast shit.
Bro, I can't get rid of the Pall Mall smell.
But no, I wanted to do something different, man. Like I was telling you guys when we got here, it's like I have this studio and all this stuff set up, and you know, I wouldn't dare call it a waste of money, but when you put this much money into a place to create some type of content, there needs to be more content being created out of it. And right now it's like, you know, right now I don't even need to do podcasts till July. So it's like,
You have all this YouTube
Well,
space to fill.
and not only that, but like we are. I mean, as a motorcycle group, yeah, that's our common interest. But we have other interests too. I mean,
yeah,
whiskey, cigars, beers, whatever that may be. So
we're gonna show up next week and it's gonna be hey, bring your weed whacker. Show me what it got. I just got an electric lawnmower.
you did.
Yeah, I've been mowing my grass lately.
How's that? Well, first impressions.
Medicine's got too expensive, dude. Straight up, dude. Inflation has hit all different aspects of life.
So you were paying for someone to mow
For
your
my entire adulthood, I've never owned a lawnmower in my life.
no kidding.
Never.
The first one, you went all electric. You went EV, battery powered, no gas.
What
How?
brand?
Yeah. Does it do the job? though?
Ryobi, motherfucker.
Will be okay.
Does it do
Hey.
the job?
Yeah.
Yeah. It finishes the whole yard. How many batteries?
One battery.
One battery does the whole.
So I don't do both front and back at the same time. I do the front on one charge, the front and the side. Then I'm done. And then the next day or whenever I'll do the backyard, and the backyard's way smaller. So
Dude. So you just put earbuds in and because there's no noise.
well, you can still hear it. It sounds like
I mean,
a lot
you
more.
still hear it.
It's like
You
a
just don't
hum.
hear you don't hear the fucking thump of like an actual explosion in the motor.
Right.
But you still hear the like that.
I guess it depends on
It's
how.
like a helicopter almost, you know.
I guess it depends on how tall your grass is.
Hey, the first time. The first time we realized that we can't afford fucking people to come mow our grass anymore, we're like, I was like, hey, let's just go get a lawnmower. And it was like, you know, when you got a push mower and you got to like let it up and then let it down slowly so
little
it
down?
chops it
Yeah.
as it goes down.
Yeah.
It's like, bro, I don't know, man. Like, to me, it's like, I don't even know how to say it. Like I feel like I need more chores, like more manual labor. A lot of my life since doing this podcast and YouTube and all this type of shit, I find myself spending more time doing things behind a computer desk. And so even though I have plenty of paint work to do, and I'm sure certain people are probably, you know, fucking
He didn't
Elvis in their
just say
TV
that, did he?
because they're waiting on a paint job or a helmet, whatever. Honestly, man, I don't. If we're not on a very tight friendship type situation,
Right.
I haven't taken on a new helmet paint job since September.
Really?
Damn.
I haven't taken on a paint job since last year. I still have paint jobs to do,
Right.
and I don't think I'll have any more after. I'm booked up till July, and that's it.
And you don't think you'll do any more after that, or just case by case basis? Let's just say that case by
I
case.
don't want to.
Well, I agree with you. Don't want to. There's no doubt in my mind that you'll do.
I'll definitely do it.
Yeah,
right.
right.
I'm trying to get Matt to clean his shop up, and if he can like organize his shop better, then I can go get me a studio in Dallas and do a podcast, and then I can come paint with Matt. But he's got
Gotta get
too
a better lawnmower.
he's got too much shit in his shop.
What's it going to take for us to buy Anvil and just?
Anvil,
Yeah.
Oh, dude, that'd be amazing.
Dude, the rent on that place is like $17,000 a month.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. That's why
they got a
Screw
bar
that.
tax they put on those things.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I did a little bit of homework, like as to what the rent was, and because I was curious, and I was like, holy shit, hard pass.
Just goes to show how much money's in bars, though.
Oh yeah, well, or
Yeah.
isn't. I mean, just think about how much. I mean, that's just rent. I mean, that's just what they have to. And then the alcohol tax in Dallas.
Yeah.
Well, just in
So
alcohol
homeboy
tax
that owns
there.
the Point Skate Shop in Deep Ellum, he's been looking to get out of Deep Ellum because they're trying to tax him the same way they tax the bars down there because they get more money out of the bars.
Yeah, he was getting charged ridiculous amounts of money just for that small shop.
Dude,
Yeah.
I mean, Dallas, the more I talk to people that do business in Dallas, small business owners, Dallas just seems so, especially compared to Garland, right? Let's just say Garland. I'm just going to cherry pick Garland. You know, I know a lot of people are like, ugh,
Yeah, I don't want to get shot.
Garland. But Garland is very business friendly, where, so just compared to Dallas, that's the frustrating part. It's, you know, Dallas just does not want to do things that want to encourage small or young businesses to stay or come in and open. Whereas Garland's like,
Trust me,
we
I
have
would love to take
we have
my.
opportunities for rent. Like we will help you with rent. We will help you with building your suite out if you're going to be someplace in the square. You know, Garland's literally just, you know, what's it going to take? And that's a lot of small communities in and around the Garland, you know, Wiley, Saxe. There's those places out there that they're really pro business.
Yeah, because you guys paying $4,000 a month in rent in houses or fucking $4,500 a month in fucking. That's expensive to live on the other side of fucking 20 from here. I live on the south side of town. I've grown up on the south side of town. So anytime I've lived in Dallas or above, I've lived in a loft or some kind of trendy ass apartment, and it's just like, it's just unaffordable for me at least. I mean, maybe.
I mean, like I'm on the rural side of, you know, like far northeast Dallas. So I'm, you know, outside of.
Yeah, but you got in there back in the 2000s.
It's still pretty.
You had equity in one place that you turned it to another place.
Sure.
As a new buyer coming in, that's not the place.
There's
for me.
that, but it's still pretty rural. But I'm saying as far as encouraging new businesses to come in.
Yeah, for sure.
And there's still places. Look, people get really picky on. Look, I drive all through Garland and through parts of Saxe, and people will complain about the prices of houses, and I'm like, well, look, you can live in a safe community and have a nice place to live. Is it going to be, you know, this, you know, great, amazing, less than 10-year-old construction? No, but you can live there. There are places to live. Dude, I'll tell you, I had to go to a salvage yard off 175. I haven't been over there in forever.
Oh, the hood.
Bro.
Yeah.
So
Southeast Dallas.
Dude.
Yeah. Does it even exist?
It does.
If there was a map, there would just be like lines.
So
Of course, people don't know how to read maps. So lines mean it's just kind of like maybe it's government property, maybe it doesn't exist.
So it's like
Area 51.
It's like Seagaville. It's like I'm right on the edge of Seagaville, and so I go over there. I go pick up this part, and it's pretty rural over there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was
5 miles from downtown Dallas.
right. I'm like, why does the like? And I saw this. It was like 2 acres that was sitting there. It was a lot for sale. And I'm coming up to this 4-way stop, and I'm like, man, you know, a lot of the homes are older, but it's all rural. They're all covered in, you know, beautiful old elm and live oak trees. And I come up to this intersection, and I'm like, why does nobody live over here? It's like looks like, you know, it's pretty remote, rural. You're real close to Dallas. I pull up to a 4-way stop, and you can't even see the stop signs on all 4 sides because they've totally been blasted with shotgun shells and bullets. And I was like, oh, that's why. Section 8 apartments with like barbed wire, 12-foot, you know, iron fences. I was like,
So you have that prison out there too.
yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I'd still do it. My wife wouldn't, but I'd still do it. I'd be like, I could live out it.
I feel like I could live. You think you look at like home development places or like community development, like, you know, gentrifying areas, whatever the case may be. Do you realize how like I think that most people look at that as like that's a rich man's game, and it is per se to get into like real estate and that kind of in commercial things like that, but they might have the money, but they need the inspiration to change the environment, right?
Right.
And it becomes the you know, the record label, sorry, whiskey,
Here we go.
record label and the talent. I can't talk. it always becomes that, right? There's always a thing. It's like, and I feel like maybe not my brand, but some YouTube type brands, I think they can turn neighborhoods now. They got enough influence to come into said neighborhood and turn it around due to whatever the case may be. Collaborative efforts between other YouTubers. Maybe you're a bike influencer, but then you're also like you fuck with like food guys and barbecue guys and whiskey guys and fucking, you get a fucking chick in there that's doing, what is it like they do in Waco? The HGTV shit. Next thing you know, you turn this whole fucking place upside down, right? That's
What
why.
is that show? It's Magnolia
Yeah,
something?
Magnolia's the place.
Yeah.
It's Chip and Joanne.
Yeah, it was the guy and girl
Yeah.
show, whatever.
The couple that built Waco.
Yeah.
Chip and Joanne.
I'm like, is there even houses still left to flip in Waco?
Right.
Yeah, they definitely built Waco, but that can happen anywhere, man.
No, sure. It absolutely could.
But think about that. That can happen anywhere in the country, especially all these fucking small towns out going west. That's exactly what's happening out there in all these ski towns in goddamn Wyoming and Montana.
I always look at, where my family is in Chanute, Kansas, and, you can buy a house there for $20,000.
Fuck, dude.
Yeah.
No shit.
Oh, yeah. Now, that house might be,
Dude, they'll trade me for a road glide.
that house in Chanute, 100. Yeah.
100.
They're like, brand new road glide? Hell yeah, bro. Welcome to your new 1,300 square foot, 2-bedroom, 1-bath.
But what can you rent that for? Like
Right.
that's like immediately what I go to.
Well,
my mind is
but it's most of these homes were built in the 20s, 30s, 40s. Some are really old, but you can buy a house. You can buy
Vintage
property.
shit sells, dude.
Yeah, you
in
can
Austin.
you can buy but so if you were someone like that made your income off of you were remote, so you made your income where you didn't have to be in a fixed location. There are places in America where the value is, you just got to be able to make it through those winters.
Matt tagged me in Vita Guerrera Instagram right now.
No, it was earlier when we were talking.
Oh no,
That's hilarious.
how old is that? Is that
That
recent?
was pretty recent.
No,
I
shit.
found out
Really?
she has an OnlyFans for her feet.
For
her feet?
For her feet.
Girl, thick, dude.
Yeah, some of the recent ones are good.
Matt's already torqued up over there. Oh, man.
So another thing that we could touch on, because you and I and Doc were talking about this, but to tag on to bring this back to motorcycles a little bit, with your guys' big trip this year, I think we're going to try to make a summer ride and where this year we'll meet up with you guys in.
He just remembered.
I did.
Yeah, right. We'll meet up with you guys, and I think we've been around each other since some of this has developed. But meet up with you guys in Joplin, Missouri, for Speed Dealer's open house party. I think something like that.
Hopefully that's what's going to be. I was talking to Frank the other day, and he's scheduled to have the whole Route 66 building that he bought that he's refurbishing. I think it's the right word, or remodeling.
Right.
It's going to be the House of Speed. I think is what he was going to call it.
Okay.
It's going to be the only motorcycle destination on Route 66.
And it's in Joplin?
Joplin, Missouri. Right on, dude. This place is fucking killer. It's got a real speakeasy in it. And
Love it.
we're set up to have a huge party there. Me and the guys will be on our trip. We're going to have a party there Friday night, meet up with you guys, and then we're going to ride to
Hot Springs, right?
Hot Springs, Arkansas, where
Yeah. So everyone that's not on Jace's big ride or the Fast Life crew from that standpoint, we kind of came up with this idea of mimicking what the Polar Ride does, but making it more in the summer. And we came up with a name, Caliente Cool Down.
Okay, so we're sticking with that.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
All right.
And next year it'll be slightly different because
you can do it on your own.
It'll be.
This
oh, yeah.
is more dramatically from the last conversation I was part of.
Yeah.
It was like, we're going to Choctaw, dude.
Well, so that was the plan. But then once we had these
No,
the
this
perfect
is way
dates.
better. This is way better.
But then once we realized their trip was during the exact same time, we're like, well, shit. All right, so let's just let's just make it part of that then for this year.
Yeah, because that's not that far away. Joplin's not that
It's
bad.
5 hours, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
not that bad.
So we'll ride up to Joplin
On a Friday.
on a Friday.
Right.
Meet up with them at this, and how cool would that be to be at Speed Dealer's open house party or whatever that is? Come down to Hot Springs on Saturday and party with everybody, and then let ride home on
come
Sunday.
home. Yeah. So Saturday could be y'all's party that y'all are gonna host.
Yeah.
And we'll be there to support it. I mean, the thing about like what I've learned through talking with people, it's not about hosting your own event. It's about supporting people's events
Yes.
and finding ways to incorporate what you want to do within the world that already exists.
Right.
Unfortunately, like the world, everybody that's trying to put events together, they already know like there's only 56, 52, 56. What is it? I always forget weeks in a year.
52.
52 weeks in a year. So that's 52 weekends a year that get soaked up between family, big time events that we can't even fuck with, like Sturgis and Born Free and
Right.
Laconia, Daytona, whatever, right? And then you got your logistic things like, okay, well, there's a bunch of weeks that get chalked up to it's not the time of the year to do this shit. So you get like stuck with like maybe a 22-week window of opportunity to do a lot of shit, and a lot of other big events are in that 22-week. Born Free, Sturgis and Daytona's kind of out of that, but at the same time it's there. And so instead of constantly trying to find make events that are separate, that means like a new plan to go to, incorporate it in other people's events. Ask first. Like,
Right.
look, hey, we want to do an event, like, and I learned this from Born Free. Mike and Grant said this to me. Dude, we want you guys to make your own shit within Born Free, Texas.
Right.
I'm like,
Awesome.
yeah, that makes more sense than me trying to own everything at the Fast Life Campout
Right.
rather than saying like, hey, do you have an idea for the Fast Life Campout?
Right.
We have this place. There's going to be people here. What do you want to do?
Right.
It could be your event in Fast Life Campout.
Right.
Right? It makes more sense. It's
Way
so,
more.
Yeah.
Well, it's what's crazy is this to see no gatekeeper bullshit. Like it's
Yeah.
one event helps boost another, and so on and so on and so on. I think, and I always kind of shoehorn it down to just this particular club style motorcycle scene, and I'm like, well, is it just that? Is it just that? Is it, or is it there is an age demographic that leads to that? Either way, it's to me, it's the coolest part of motorcycling that I've ever been a part of to see. To
Yeah.
see, this, what starts out as a small conversation, then through more conversations with other people, like, well, it could piggyback this event and we could do this and this and this. And it ends up supporting more people as a larger whole, which
Yeah.
is, incredible. So, I'm just thinking of the original conversation we had at the cottage. And then now I'm like, well, then I remember the name. I remember we were
We're
talking
just BSing,
about the name, and then
Yeah.
now I'm like, well, this is a way cooler event than what we talked about. I was like, I just thought we were going to Choctaw and going to put on some bikinis and go to the pool, dude.
Yeah, and I think that's probably where it'll end up being, but still, it's one of those deals where when we realized how we could go up to Joplin, go to Speed Dealer, and then go to Hot Springs, make this. And what's cool about this too is it's, when you go to Sturgis or Daytona, I mean, you're talking a minimum 4 or 5 nights probably. I mean, the expense and all that is pretty high. So if you can't afford doing a Sturgis, because it's I think I looked it up. It's July 14th is the Friday where we'd be at
Joplin.
July 15th would be in Hot Springs. So you're talking about 2 nights, and rather than so like the expense of all of this is very minimal.
Yes.
You usually crash with somebody if you like work it out
Yeah,
right.
but in worst case, you get a Super 8 or something. It's maybe, $70, $80 a night,
Exactly. So if you can't do your Sturgis, here's a great alternative to still be around a ton of awesome dudes and be in this space.
And it's close enough to bring in Arkansas crew,
Kansas, Missouri, Iowa.
Oh yeah, I didn't think about Iowa. Yeah, but close enough for those guys to make the rip down.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's way better plan. Way better plan.
Well, it all. We were talking to Kyle the other night, and he was like, "Oh, that's the exact dates of that." And we're like, "Oh, damn it! Well, why don't we just make it part of that?"
Make it that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It makes sense, man. Like I said, we have a lot of, the whole country's coming on board to what's going on with this camp out shit. When I say that, it sounds it's hard, right? Because I don't know. I've said it so much in previous podcasts, but the camp out was derived from many ideas, but it really originated at a bike night that we all go to every week and amongst friends and whoever, not one person. I don't own it over any of my other friends, even though my name is on it. Even though I do put a lot of more work into it than some of the homies do, but
Sure.
At the same time, I still love them because they were the inspiration, at least at the beginning for sure, to create it. But this thing has grown into something strange. Like, fuck, I don't even know what you've been to a lot of campouts. Like, Matt's been to a lot of campouts. You've been to, last year was your first one, but.
Yep.
Well, to see it
Bro.
go from what? How many were you the first one? 9, 10?
It was.
No, it was probably like
They had like
Was it
50.
15 of
Was it
us.
15?
At the end, it started off. It was only 4 of us there
Right.
that went originally,
Right.
and this was the pre-camp out,
Right.
And so,
Yeah, I'm saying this is what I'm saying. The very first one.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
guys went down, but to see it go from that to last year, when I'm just like on the outside of the stage watching like everything, I'm like, this is wild.
Yeah.
In 5 years,
Bro.
this has gone from less than 20 dudes to I don't
being
even
shirtless.
Well,
I
they
don't
said
even-
1,000 people last year. At least.
Yeah. I'm like, there's bathroom issues. There's, there's real issues here. There's so many people here.
The craziest thing is like when you're on stage and you look out and
I can't even imagine.
and it's almost like you can definitely see the end of the crowd. Like, I'm not saying it's that big, but it's like so many people, and
But the
you're
end
like,
of the crowd
Last
is-
year was a little surreal for me.
Yeah,
honest with you.
I'm sure.
For sure.
I'm sure.
That was
I mean, just to be like in the crowd and just like
Mm-hmm.
looking up and just, I'm like, I cannot believe like this is even happening. I cannot. Well, when I came back to see the bike show,
yeah,
that was when it started to set in, to see, all the motorcycles and then making my way all the way around both sides of the campgrounds and looking at all the people there. It was like, this is unreal. And the fact that, when we're riding, we make it to Mina and we run into, I think we picked up, I started riding by myself that morning and I picked up, Wes and Steve and Sam, but Mike DeJong, the ride went from, I'm going to ride with Mike and Steve and a couple other guys to the next thing I know, it's like there's 15 of us on a group ride when I was all by myself at a gas station deciding if I was just going to go home. I made it one night, I'm going to go home. But to see it turn into that and then come back and stay for the Saturday night, thank God I came back for the Saturday night because that was so wild. I was just telling my son the other night some of the contests because he was asking what I had going on this next weekend, and I'm like, dude.
I'm going to see Mel Buttholes.
He was like, more nuts? And I was like, I don't know. I think
The problem is like the nuts got more attention than the titties did, and that's by design
yeah.
because we had some woke ass bitches.
Honestly, from a PR perspective, that's probably better.
Yeah. You guys aren't promoting women the right way. Jerk off motion, right?
Yeah,
So
well-
like, hey, well, here's some nuts for you.
Yeah.
Guess
well,
what gets talked about? Not the women,
Yeah.
the nuts.
Old truck nuts.
Truck nuts.
The funny
yeah.
thing is right after, so last year, right after the camp out, and this was, I was fairly new to the scene or to this group at that point, and I walked into Reno's for bike night, and I walked into
Drunk.
Reno's. And,
He's like done.
Cut me off.
yeah. I walked into
I lost my
Reno's
2010.
and and I'd been to a few bike nights by this point, you know, but I said hello to Dolly, and she like gave me this like really funny look, and she goes, "Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were Austin, and I can't look at you the same. Like I can't look at him the same."
After seeing his fucking gooch.
Bro. Dude, I have to give it up to his wife for being so supportive of that particular moment. That's my baby. Fucking lurch nuts just ding dong away, dude. Holy shit.
I think that Austin gets a lot of credit, but there was another dude that also did it, and there was 3 people that did the nuts thing, and I can only remember 2. But one other dude, and I wish I knew his name right now, but he was like out there trying. He was like bent over, butthole in the air, grabbing his nuts, trying to get him to fucking drop. You know what I mean?
What, it's like Stretch Armstrong?
Yeah, he's like, 'cause I guess he was cold. I don't know. He was just like, come on, baby. And I didn't see, I'm looking at I have GoPro footage from the side. So all I see is butts, right? And I just remember looking down and seeing him like trying so hard, and Austin's just fucking living it like, oh, yeah, this is the fucking adult life. You know what I mean? Like bills, child support, you know, whatever the case may be.
20 years of boxer shorts.
But you know, when I did the podcast with Adam Sandoval, he even brought that up. He was like, "Oh, that was wild. That was crazy." I was like, "Yeah," but you know what? We're still talking about that over every other fucking part of that whole thing. Some dude had a friar tuck.
Yes.
Yeah.
He had his eyebrows shaved and a fucking
dude,
and I feel more bad about that dude who fucking had to go to work the next day.
I still have pictures of it on my phone.
I got
The dude had nose eyebrows. No, he has a fucking haircut like he just like was
Oh, dude.
just found God in 1840
I'm
or
sit-
1640
I'm
or whatever.
sitting
The
there
fuck.
looking at him like, oh man, Canterbury Tales, dude. This guy. That's why I'm like, you were saying people were afraid to compete in the games. I'm like, you're coming to the wrong event.
Yeah, dude.
Because there were so many people last year.
Go join a bike club, you hard ass motherfucker.
I don't care what you guys. What was the one guy that needed an EMT for whatever the hot thing was
Oh,
that
that
everybody?
pussy.
Wait.
No, here's a Todd is the first dude that snorted the peppers, right? I gave him a helmet.
Wasabi thing.
I gave him a helmet.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
I gave him a helmet because he was a fucking G. The other dude, I don't know who the fuck he is, but he was crying. Like, and he had some chick, and my fucking gay ass brother was out there like, you can get sued, dude. And he's like putting ideas in these fuckers' heads and shit. I'm like, this dude's crying. Like, dude, nobody forced you to go on stage
You
and
volunteered to do that.
do this
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
And now you're mad because we're putting GoPros in your face? Like, you're content, motherfucker.
Right.
Be content or fuck off. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
Yeah, own it at that point.
yeah.
well, didn't Trey do it as well?
Yeah, Trey did it.
Trey did it, and Trey was like, he was a little fucked up, but he was like, I'm fine. I'm like, I'm fine.
But he's Hispanic though. Like he can take the heat.
I mean, he
Is he?
played it off, but he was like,
He claimed-
No, he said it. He said it was fucking painful, but he was, because I was talking to him when the guy's literally right next to me. The guy's having his whole episode.
Trey's like, he's being a little bitch.
exactly.
yeah, because
exactly.
I remember walking up, he was like, that was the stupidest thing I've ever done in my life.
Yeah.
He's just like, staring out.
Trey was a little concerned.
There's not going to be any of that shit this year. I'm not taking any fucking chances trying to like, I'm not, look, I'm trying to make some kind of money selling t-shirts at this fucking event. I ain't trying to fucking pay no goddamn lawsuits. So
from somebody huffing. But I don't even know what.
why don't we just do it old school? Why don't we just get a fucking spray can up there and just have somebody fucking do it the old school way?
But by the way, so I love your t-shirt design. I love your vision on that. But I also love the Big Trouble bike, the t-shirt.
Yeah.
That looks badass.
So
How many shirts are going to be available from this?
I don't remember what Big Troubles is, but here's the deal. Like we've the camp out's never been about like anybody making money on it.
Sure.
Other than myself. No.
Chancellor Jace.
But here's the deal. Like, Mel and Mark are putting so much effort into making this camp out better. And what he's doing with this whole, we're touching 3 hours, right?
Yeah.
What they are doing and making this event better, they deserve to be able to be compensated for their time and effort.
For sure.
And if they can sell a T-shirt that can kind of help facilitate a little bit of recuperance of that money they put in and the time, they deserve more. And honestly, if I get to a point where I can make enough money on the campground, which we're working on ways that might happen, they will be compensated for this type of work that they're put into it, because promoting the camp out does not start in April.
No.
It doesn't start in March.
It's year
For
round.
me, it kind of started like after the camp out. It became Sturgis. It became the Down South
Yes.
camp out.
Yeah.
It became Born Free Texas. It became everything, period. And, naturally, I don't know how to just not push things. So I'm glad that they have a T-shirt. And I think moving forward, I think I'm probably going to open up the door to more of the brands that just going to try to capitalize. No, you're not going to make any money.
Sure.
The brands that are like Thundermax, they're
Right.
fucking going hard for the
This
camp
year.
out.
And that's awesome.
I
So-
think they said they made like a couple hundred hats that they're giving away. Couple hundred, because they're giving away because they want everybody in the pictures, in the videos, to have a fucking Thundermax hat on.
Hell yeah.
That's dope.
Hell yeah.
So
They deserve to be able to make a T-shirt for the camp out that you can get a Thundermax Fast Life camp out shirt.
Awesome. Love it.
I'm down for that.
Yeah.
right.
The dude that just wants to make a shirt that's not fucking putting in the work before, sorry.
Right.
Well,
You can still
unless-
come out. You can still come out and you can be a part of it, but there's got to be a reason why this person can and this person
unless
can't.
unless you start talking about vendor fees.
I'm not doing that.
Right.
No vendors.
Right.
Well, and to that point though, is like, how many bike shows have you gone to where you got to pay, which $20 isn't a lot, but $20 just to put your bike in the show.
Right.
And once again, when my prerogative is just to have my bike seen
Right.
versus win. Right.
Oh no.
Are we going to we're going to the music now again.
I don't even know the rest of the words, but
So, but it's
nice
like,
word though. SATs.
right. But when you had like, who wants to put their bike in a show where you got to pay $20 or more just to put your bike in a show?
So here's the thing. It's like, I talked to Trouble about it. You guys got to understand, like, the amount of work that Mel and Mark are putting in to create this thing, even what they did for the Hangover show in Daytona. Honestly, guys, be adults. Realize that, like, what they are doing, just ask yourself this: can you do it? Not can you do it?
Would you?
Can you carve out the time of your own busy life
Right.
to
sure.
create this? And if you can, understand why they're putting money. Like, hey, I want Big Trouble's bike show to be something that like we've talked. Like, Mark and Mel are not looking at this like it's going to be they're going to fucking be out buying CVO road glides off of doing this. They're doing this to support the world that we have.
Right.
But I want them to make enough money so that they can continue to support the world we have.
Right.
And you guys, dude, every day you fucking go buy Chipotle and you get the tip fucking thing. Apply that to the world that you want to exist.
Right.
You can not tip at Chipotle and guess what? It'll be there tomorrow.
True.
Chipotle will be there to fucking tomorrow. Guess who might not be? Because you wanted to save $5 you cheap prick. The people that the reasons why you're going places. Like I've said this so much in my, maybe not as eloquent. Today's not as eloquent either, but because I'm
You're
aged.
hanging in there, dude.
Yeah,
You're doing all right.
I feel like I'm getting better at it. No, I'm just playing. I just now the words are slurred, but now my mind is slurred with my words, so it sounds the same. These guys, these people that make this industry, these places fun, like they are very important. They're, the Big Trouble Bike Show, Mark, Mel, Tiny down there in fucking Southern Florida.
Yeah.
Southern Florida, it's a weird place to say. all these people across the country. Joe Kidd coming in with a fucking entourage from all these people that he's inspired to ride bikes. Like, these people are important, and if we don't shine light on them and what they're doing to exist, then I feel like I'm failing as a person who is in the business of shining light on people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
No, and I fully agree with that, and that's why I fully support the idea of like the T-shirt of the bike show, because I think that's like, I'll probably buy 4 of them. I'll literally buy a black and a white one for myself and my wife, and type of thing, because the design is awesome and I love what they're doing.
But it's good quality too. It's good quality T-shirts.
Right. Yeah. So like,
they don't fuck around that bullshit ass Gildan
for sure
bullshit.
For sure, but to that point, it's one of those things where a lot of the other bike shows are just simply pay your fee, enter your bike, and that's it. And it's not a whole lot of like what Mel and Mark are doing is very, it's got a very centralized feel to it, I guess. I don't know.
When you can go be a part of the show with the same people that put it on, and when the show's over, they're still drinking whiskey with you.
Right.
And hanging out.
And being a part of it.
And want to know your story. That's the thing.
They are the people to invest in. Like, trust me, we live in a world full of people that are trying to exploit every aspect of this world that we live in. And
they're not one of them, dude. They're super, super nice.
And we had a heart-to-heart at Bike Night the other night, and they're like, we're not doing this for, obviously, the money. Like, that's they're probably in the red, really.
Yeah.
But it's about the community.
Yeah.
And that's what's badass.
And if you don't fucking reinforce people like that doing it,
for sure,
then you ruin opportunities, because you know how this is, I feel like an adult talking right now to my younger self. It's so easy to tear down shit and so hard to build shit.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Everybody builds things. Or not everybody. People are building things, trying to make the world a better place, and you're just some piece of shit that wants to fucking just talk shit about things. Now, to be fair, everything is worth being scrutinized if it deserves
constructive feedback is.
But how you go about it, like if you're gonna talk shit, like, no. Here's the thing. I've always done this. I think Mark and Mel have done the same thing with this. Is like, we live our lives to where you really can't talk shit about anything. I try to be rabbit myself.
Sure.
I talk enough shit about who I am to where, like, bro, I already said that on a pod. That was episode 270, dude.
Right, you're not hurting my
Scram.
feelings. Right,
you know what I mean?
Covered it.
But at the same time, like, if they want to, like, who's going to go out of their way, YouTube, social media, whatever, to talk shit about someone who spent their own money to create an event for you to come and enjoy free of your charge, and only ask that you buy a T-shirt if you're interested?
I mean,
meanwhile,
it takes a special kind of
next thing you know, our fucking internet bill is going to ask for a tip.
Well, I mean, it just takes it could be a troll, but just an asshole. Look, they could very easily just stay in Florida and just do events there.
Yeah.
The fact that they're willing to come outside that environment and do something cool for us, it speaks volumes on their part.
There's actually a decent crew that left Florida today for the camp out.
And I only ask about the T-shirts because I think just for people that are listening to the podcast, they'll want to know, like, how many because I mean, look, when I go to an event, I'm like, well, how many motherfuckers selling? Like, I'm a load up.
So I have 270 shirts coming for the Fast Life Camp Out. I have 10 4XLs. So all you fat motherfuckers out there, and I'm one of you.
Let's see. Yeah. Well, Craig's lost a lot of weight, so he might be 3X now.
Fuck Craig.
He doesn't mean that, Craig. He loves you.
No, Craig's good. Craig gets a free T-shirt because he's a part of the fucking. I don't even want to give Craig this credit.
Give it to him. He said it can't get any bigger.
Trust me, he's got more space in that cab.
Oh.
Craig's a good dude, and Craig has been a very great extension of what the Fast Life Camp Out represented, and he's took that on his own way and made the Down South Camp Out. So I love the Do the Death, and he gives me a shirt of his camp out, I give him a shirt of my camp out.
Yeah.
That's how it works, as long as he stays within the bounds of what I print. But he's good. But no, so I got a lot of Born Free shirts, and I got a lot of our camp out shirts. We're going to bring them out there, try to sell them. And just so you guys know, you're helping your boy get out of tax debt. So
Buy
every shirt you buy from your boy right here is going towards me being able to make actually more shirts for the Fast Life. Like I have 6 shirt designs.
So the yellow ones that were from Born Free, or
I still got a hat. I don't have any of the Ramjet ones. I got a bunch of Born Free shirts.
Okay, so
I'm gonna bring.
Okay.
They're gonna be half price at $15.
Okay.
So bunch of those. Yeah, I'm just trying to. Things for 2020. What year is this? 23.
23, bro.
23 is gonna be a good year for me to financially get my shit together. I fixed the teeth last year, kinda. And I still want a gold tooth right here.
I'm all for it, dude.
I want to do a fucking fat ass gold tooth.
Gold or
Silver, maybe.
silver?
I kind of want to look like I'm from the hood.
Silver.
Silver tooth right here.
Yeah. Which
then-
hood, though?
Whatever the one silver represents.
Well,
Is there a silver hood?
I'd be like, oh, that's a Latino baby right there.
I'm from Duncanville.
Yeah,
Just,
then get
like,
it gold.
I feel like silver, like, hey,
It's not even, it's like that orange.
it's wherever Medicaid works, right? You're going to get a silver.
Right. Yeah, you just get your Jack Sparrow on. Let's do it.
So yeah, this year the whole plan was like, I mean, I'm selling the Road Glide just for that. Like literally every bit of the Road Glide. For everybody out there, like they've heard me talk about my tax problems. My tax problems are not that extravagant. They're not. I put them on a pedestal because I don't understand that world at all, and I just assume that it's going to be the end of everything for me. No. When realistically, like, oh, I made 80 grand last year, so I think 80 grand in taxes in Texas ends up being like $1,500 or $15,000. I sell my Road Glide for the money that it's worth. I can pay taxes for the last 4 years of my life, 100%. You know what I mean? But like I said, I don't want people to think that like I'm just like this huge piece of shit person that doesn't do anything right. Like I literally try to, I try to do it right. But
You have to catch all yours at the end of the year. Everybody else is skipping rope. Yeah,
everybody goes to work all day. Like,
right.
Oh, this fucking piece of shit doesn't know how to do his taxes. Meanwhile, they have an
HR department taking care of theirs.
They're like, oh yeah, I just claimed 0, bitch. You know what I'm saying? I got back fucking $4 grand because I had 2 more kids this year. Hell yeah, brother. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, dude. I guess thanks.
Wow. There's a tremendous hurdle to get past on standard deductions that we all get. So, it's tough for small business owners.
Yeah,
30%. People don't understand that.
30%.
At least
you give me $10,000. Hey Jace, I want you to paint my bagger. All right, 12 grand. $10,000 pay, whatever. $3,000 taxes.
easily.
Then your bagger paint job cost me $4,000 in materials and people that like it cost me $4 grand.
Yes.
There's $2 grand left over.
Yeah. Yeah.
This dude's expensive. Like, no, dude, you voted wrong, motherfucker.
Dude, legit. I have to giggle inside.
I'll cancel myself.
No, it's all good.
I love it.
No, materials are through the roof.
Yeah.
And they're all oil based, so when the price of petroleum goes up,
Collision
surprise.
based.
Uh,
The collision industry dictates my industry.
petroleum based. That's what I see.
They're insurance based.
When you say collision, you mean like legitimate accidents on the in cars?
No,
collision
whatever.
The collision industry dictates how much like like, so the collision industry has kind of like a
Insurance.
mafia
Insurance.
But collision repair.
control over the world of collision repair. Which, like, you've heard the horror stories, and I know you have, where it's like a collision. Like, you could be in a body shop, and this fender that you have to repair and fix, somehow the insurance agency like estimated that to where you actually owe them money to fix it.
It's insurance. So as a whole, the insurance companies, they're the largest.
Scammers.
Well, not scammers, but they're the largest consumers for
Yeah.
collision repair industry.
So they have a lobby that they can fucking leverage.
well, they it's no different than the medical industry, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's
so
insurance in general.
it's
That's-
insurance in general. So
They're taking a risk, having to pay out everything, but they're hoping that you don't have wrecks or anything. That's why, if you do get in a wreck, they might jack your rates up to try to make up for it.
right.
They're wanting you to not get in a wreck.
Yeah.
But they, as far as controlling costs, the way they've manipulated the market is they have partnerships with large MSOs, so multi-shop operations, so like Calibers and Crash Champions,
Earl Schwab's type shit.
dealerships, whatever. So whenever, if you're an independent and you want to adjust your rates, they're like, well, your rates are higher than the market segment. And okay, well, who does the market segment surveys? Well, the insurance companies do, and most of their partners are a part of their client list. They're a part of the market. So if they say that your prices are too high, well, if you're a partnership with an insurance company, they provide the work, so they provide the business, right? They refer the customers to you. You concede by taking a lower profit on labor and materials. So in that sense, the insurance companies do control the market.
Yeah.
So whenever now, as far as
You're
what the
basically
actual
guaranteed the work
right.
for a lower pay.
But as far as the material costs go, that's what I have seen over the years is if gas prices get high, solvent prices get high, paint materials get, because it's all petroleum based. Every one of your toners is a petroleum based product. Most of your solvents are petroleum based products. So if you see the oil prices go high, solvent prices go high. Now, as far as what you collect from the insurance company for material costs, that price being driven down is because of the insurance companies and their partnerships with MSOs. But as far as the price of the materials going up, it's because of the cost of raw goods. So that's always been the conundrum. Now, if you want my personal opinion on like what you should be collecting, if somebody wants to know what's it cost material wise for somebody to paint something for you, whether it's solvent based or waterborne, I'm going to tell you it's going to be in the 50 at the bottom end, and probably 58 is more business practical. So per refinish hour, if you were to bill someone, it's probably going to be in the $55 an hour range for materials.
For materials. So if you have
just material,
if you have 100 hours,
Exactly.
100 hours in painting a custom motorcycle,
Break this down for him, Jace, please.
100 hours, which is very easy to achieve. And I can do 30 to 40 hours in a helmet.
Yes.
So if you 30 to 40 hours in a helmet, and then you add a material cost to that, then that puts that helmet in the $5,000 range.
Yeah. So if you factor in $65 an hour, which is the going rate for paint labor, and then $55 an hour for material costs at that same labor number.
It's two separate costs, right? It's a labor hour and material hour.
But they're both.
And you put them together, and then you have this one big,
Right.
at $100 an hour, or let's just say 100 hours at $65, you're at $6,500.
Yes.
Then you add material costs
On top of that.
of $100. Now you're well over $10,000.
Yeah.
So apply that to a bagger,
Yep.
right? Where these, they don't get that.
No.
So yes, look, put it like this. There's a bunch of people in the collision industry, just in the paint industry, who work in shops. They can kind of let me get a little bit of sealer over here, a little bit of this over here. But when you're an independent shop and you have to buy all these materials, when I tell people like a bagger costs me $3,000 to $4,000 of materials to start the paint job, and you want me to spend 100 hours of my life
Right.
doing it for fucking $10 an hour?
Right.
$10 an hour at 100. What's that? What's the math? 1,000?
You say $10 at a
At 100, yeah,
$1,000?
yeah. So no,
$1,000 to paint your whole bagger
No.
so I can PD,
no. You know, from my perspective, negotiating costs on anything it's non-negotiable. These are all built in. I don't control the market.
That's
I
the good
don't
thing about collisions. You don't have to negotiate.
No, I don't control parts costs. I don't control labor costs. These are all built in for a business to make profit. So I've never been a fan of the guy that like, well, I know a guy. Cool, go see that guy.
How much does my cost?
Right. Yeah.
Sure.
Fuck you.
The cost is the cost. That's what I love about using some type of estimating format. And I'm like, this is the cost. You know, like you punch in the numbers for what they want done.
You have a way to break it down and
Yes.
show them.
Yeah.
Which is easier.
Yeah, but
Independence,
even
you have to like explain it to them.
yeah, but
They
even
just can't comprehend.
even independence, you know, I've just learned, and I learned that I'm sorry, you're just not my customer.
Dude, I've told this to Matt. I've told this to everybody. If you just put a fucking number 1 through number 10 on the wall and they come in your shop and they're there like, hey, how much is this? You want a number 1 with a side of number 2. So, bam.
Right.
It's like people are so they're sheep-like, and I'm not trying to insult you unless this is you, and if this is you, fucking change yourself, because if you are so used to ordering off everything in your life off a menu, like you've been going to McDonald's since you were a fucking child,
Right.
like if everything is that and that's comfortable to you, then the world can treat you that way.
Right.
But you want to start getting accustomed, you want to start getting like one-off things, you want to have something tailored to you, then you can't treat the world that way.
Like you can't even get it. I mean, a tailored suit. You know what I mean? Like if you're gonna get something,
Bro, who? You say tailored suit. Who's Taylor?
exactly.
The world that we live in doesn't give a fuck about a name, the idea behind something. They give a fuck about the name behind it.
Right. But the point is, you know, the amount of money that would cost you to get that done, tailored to your physical body and specifications. But you know, people will. I don't know. I have a hard
People will
time.
customize their bike with every name brand thing on it. They won't have one-off thing done because they're so insecure about their purchases that they need to know that, all right, I put 10 grand in this bike and I got all the coolest guy parts in it, so subsequently I'm going to be cool.
Right.
As opposed to I want to make this thing cool for myself. I want to do what I want to do, what I think is cool. And so when you go to bike night, hey, who made that exhaust? Well, it's an idea that I had. Who the fuck are you? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's one of those, right?
Well, the paint side has always just always really bothered me, and you know how people get so frugal with paint, and even on the fabrication side too. That it just irks me. That's the last thing you'd want to cheap out on. And then the first ones to complain about how it looks when it's done, and it's
The richest people I ever painted for never paid attention to any of that shit.
No.
They
Well,
trust.
in the stance that I've taken on this too is, in early on, I probably wasn't as aware of this, but especially now, I want all my people in this space to do well.
Sure.
So I'm willing to pay the going rate to have a good product, basically. Like, because I want the people in this industry to succeed. If all the people in this industry because the motorcycle industry is very small, so it does not take very long for you to become friends with everyone, whether it's a builder, a painter, fabricator, whatever that may
Right.
be.
Yeah.
So it doesn't take long to become friends with them. So if you expect and those people in that space start getting like expectations of discounts based on friendships, it's going to go to shit really quick.
Oh yeah, yeah, and
So as someone that is in like that is building a bike or doing something like that, like don't try to ask for a discount necessarily or expect that, because you want the people to stay in the space as long as they can. And that's my opinion now.
I agree wholeheartely. I you know, we've talked. This has been a theme before in the podcast and business owners in general. You know, the homie hookup. I'm like, you should be hooking your homie up.
Right.
You should be hooking your homie up and paying full price. Like if that's what he wants to
Yeah.
do that job, you should be paying that and then helping promote that. You know, his bar only gets as high as you help him set it. If you're
Because most likely that homie price is actually the best quality. That's the thing, is like the quality is most likely your advantage over the price.
right. I never understood the homie hookup. I'm like, homie hookup? Like the homie hookup is full price. Like I'm running a business
The
here.
homie hookup never translates to the other side.
No.
What do you do for a living?
Exactly.
This isn't a barter situation anymore.
Right.
Now it's like I literally give you something for half what I charge, and then you get to go to work and work the entire time that you work and get the full paycheck that you
Right.
work.
Right.
But I got to go to work and now do half the time, and I owe you something because we had a beer last week.
Do you ever remember the barter system that used to exist here in Dallas?
Kinda. I mean, me and Corey right now at Main Drive are doing the barter system that I've known to exist forever.
Right. So there used to be like it was kind of like the green sheet or the thrifty nickel, but guys would run advertisements in there. So you would trade labor for labor, right? Materials was totally different, but
Yeah.
you would trade labor for labor, and you could negotiate materials. So personal story was a friend of mine at the time did a window tint and headliners, and he traded out window tint and headliners for lawn care, or having a deck built on the back of his house, or having mechanic service work done on his wife's car. So, you know, I remember being with him, and he's explaining, oh yeah, I'm going to tint this guy's windows. He just paid me for the materials, and we're going to do some headliner work, and then he's going to come. I'm going to do 10 cars of his, and he's going to come over and build a deck or whatever. But you could negotiate all that. There were links through this newspaper that would float around through different. You'd run an ad. You'd get to run your ad for free. Right? You'd pay for a subscription, you'd run your ad for free, and then it was a whole barter system. So they had different people on there that you could link up with, plumbers, electricians, whoever, and you would just trade labor and negotiate material costs. And I miss that. I miss that part of it. I think
That's how the world works.
That's I think that was fair for tradesmen at the time, but now it's gotten to this point to where, look, you work behind a desk and you don't have anything to offer me. Like, I don't see any point in any homie hookup.
Yeah, you trade me your money.
For my skill set, and my labor. You know, it'd be different if you were going to come over and cut my grass. You know, send your crew over and clean up my lawn. You know.
And I think too, the social media aspect of that like makes this like balancing point too, or maybe balancing point is the right word, but because there is this aspect of like people thinking that like their followers mean something.
Hey, I got 100,000 followers. They're not looking to get their grass cut from me, fucker.
Right.
I live in Dallas,
Right.
and you are fucking, your follower base is all over the world. Like,
Dude.
so you have like 2,000 people live in Dallas? Like, that's what you offer me is 2,000 people, not 100,000.
Right.
And the likelihood that's going to turn into real sales is probably like
Teeny tiny.
less than
Teeny
like
tiny.
5%.
We had so many kids that would stop by Joel's shop, Linear, and would want to will you guys sponsor my car? Sponsor this? For what? Oh, well, I got X amount of followers. And I'm like, how does that relate to any new business for me? How many of them are in Plano? I can show you on a map where our demographic is and where the bulk of our business comes. Are they in that?
What you're speaking right now is the same language that a lot of the stunt riders in the Harley industry have failed to understand about what they do and how they provide value to a brand.
Right.
Because, as the world turned into like TikTok era, everything, like you can get more views if you have a house cat that's wild than if you can do a naked wheelie down the highway with your old lady on it, right? So how does any of that translate into why somebody wants to buy something from me?
Right.
So the unfortunate aspect to this is that a lot of people have not realized, how do I take whatever following I have and translate it into like engagement to something, right? And that's the reason why like I've made the moves I've made to take whatever my social media is and turn it into, podcast content or YouTube content, or the people that follow us for our travels. Like, how do I turn that into like, hey, check out these brands that help me travel. They'll help you too, right? These guys, the reason why they all have a hard time monetizing what they do for a living is because they don't understand what they provide. They think what they're providing is attention, but attention is anywhere. Like, you can just have a hot chick girlfriend with big tits and get more attention.
Sure.
Yeah.
So your attention that you provide as a stunt rider has to have context. You got to be a cruisy.
Yeah.
You got to be a sea bear.
Yeah.
You got to be these other people that have more than just the willy,
Right.
the burnout, the other shit. You have to have more. And that's because we live in a world of that's not enough.
Yeah.
It's not enough to be a podcaster anymore.
Right.
You got to be a YouTuber.
Right.
It's not enough to be a fucking airbrush artist, custom painter, fucking camp out creator, fucking bike night creator, fucking dad, husband. You didn't do that shit anymore. You got to be all these other things to fucking be relevant and make a life.
In that space, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
So, like, this is fucking grow up.
Improvise, adapt.
Improvise. That's a better word for improvise. I'm being
Yeah, and what a stark contrast.
condescending.
Yeah. Well, between those two that you mentioned, like...
Has it been 2 hours yet?
dude, I don't even know where
We're
we're at.
almost double that.
Did I want it?
Oh, shit.
Seriously? Fuck.
3.5.
All right.
Whenever you're ready to wrap it up.
We got to do ending thoughts. What do we think?
Yeah. So what did you expect? So this being a whiskey podcast originally, or at least when we finished it, we did a good job of that.
That it works.
That it works. Yeah.
Dude, I just want to do something. I wanted to do something different that had a different premise, like, trying to stay on board with something. I don't feel like any conversation we had tonight was a bad one.
No, it was great.
or it was not engaging.
Didn't get off the rails.
No.
Yeah.
We didn't teleport.
We did not teleport. Yeah, that's the classic right there. No, I just thought it'd be cool to have like a podcast where we tried to stay on focus on something, which is kind of strange. Hey, I got a new idea for a podcast. We're gonna stay on track.
Task.
But that hey, cat's out of the bag. That's what it was.
Well, thank you both. It's truly a pleasure.
No, you know what? I hit up Jake yesterday and I said, "Hey man, who do you think would be another guest?" And he goes, "Marcus." I'm like, "No fucking shit, dude. Like I haven't had you on in so long, and every time if me and you get engaged in a conversation at bike night, it's a fucking all nighter."
Oh yeah,
100%.
I have to limit it because I'm
and
like,
that's where my mindset went
Yeah.
too. Because I was like, when he was like, "Hey, who else?" I'm like, "Dude, Marcus always has great insights." Like,
well, I
this is
appreciate it. I appreciate that a lot. But then
Even Mike commented on here saying that he was glad that Marcus was on here.
Dude, a fault of mine is maybe it's because like we said earlier, we have a life of abundance here in Dallas that I just get so enthralled with like this, that, and the other. And there's sometimes where I out of sight, out of mind, 100%. You know what I mean? I don't even think about this shit.
well, the first one, I was on like early.
Dude, you're
on.
an 18er.
Yeah.
You're a 2018er.
Yeah, and Jesse.
Me, you, and Jesse.
Oh
and
my god, and I got so faced. I've never
that
gone
podcast, if anybody goes back and listens to that podcast, was probably one of the earliest, funniest podcasts there was. We talked about like
That's the teleporting one.
Yeah,
we talked about touching our dicks together and teleporting. It was a funny ass pod. The podcast photo is Jesse when he was going through his emo phase.
which was epic, dude.
He had like candy necklace thing.
tie-dye T-shirt. I can't say it, dude. I was gonna. No, it's good. That's a
It
fucking
was like
great photo.
within episode like 20 or 25, right around there.
Yeah, it was pretty early on.
Yeah.
We got super. You were on Southside.
Yeah, I lived in the South Side. I was living
Yeah,
in
just
downtown.
after that shooting.
Yeah, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the same
Like the
apartment.
cop shooting?
Yeah.
That was the apartments I lived
Same
in.
apartment.
He lived in
Shut
those.
up.
Yeah, dude.
Floor above me.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
You're kidding.
No.
Actually, that shooting took place while we were at the first Fast Life campout. Mm-hmm. Botham Jean, who is now the street is named after, was shot in my apartment complex while the first Fast Life campout was taking place.
Was that the person that got killed?
Yeah, that was the guy that got shot by the cop.
Yeah.
Who
She was like a blonde chick, right? The cop was?
the alleged thing was she went into the apartment, thought it was her apartment, and she
Right.
shot him. But originally, what ended up coming out was she had a relationship with this guy. He was cheating or whatever the fuck was going on. She shot him and tried to play it off like, I didn't know who this
I
guy
went to the wrong
was.
apartment.
Yeah.
I didn't know who he was, but yeah.
Because
Damn.
the apartments I lived in was like a block away from the city hall.
Yep.
Where the cops lived. Great. I had some great times down there, but till that
I thought it
happened.
was a cool spot.
It was.
I mean, you were over there by the Lorenzo. I mean, dude, it's fucking dope over there.
had a good time,
I don't
yeah.
give a shit what anybody says.
Early days, I had a 1-bedroom apartment. When all of us, this is when the whole world was coming together. All this thing that everybody knows now, this podcast, all the friends, the bike nights,
Yeah.
the campouts. There were times where there was like 10 people in my apartment complex, my 1-bedroom apartment complex, sleeping like sardines in this house because of parties we were having. Like whether it was like Southern Throwdown or somebody's birthday or the anniversary party for the Fast Life shit, whatever. We
We
just
tried to do a drunk podcast.
plenty of those that never got released.
For a good reason, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Wild times, dude.
I remember it was was it Rocks? That was his name. I always forget his name. But Mark and him went out to go, right? And I guess they went to a bar and he got slapped by someone or whatever. They came back and Mark passed out, like with me and my wife at the time, on our sleeping our air mattress, and it just went flat, busted it.
T-Bar Jesus. Yeah. Yeah, there's some good stories, man. I think that, like, unfortunately, I wish that more of it was on video because I think that would, like, give perspective to some people around our scene to realize, like, the life that we've had together. It's so – a photo album or even just scrolling back on your Instagram once in a while is a good perspective course correction of, like, appreciation for who you are and
Sure.
where you've been in your life.
Sure.
And if you could just go back, scroll back 2 years and just be like, I remember who I was right there. And I remember what I wanted in life. And I remember that now I have it. And I should look at this life that I have right now way different than I am right now. So one thing I would say to my closing arguments for this podcast, scroll back on your Instagram, remember who you were, realize who you are, and enjoy the fact that you've done something in your life. Minuscule or not.
Yeah.
You're different in a different spot, unless you're in jail, and then you're just fucked. And let me know how you're getting this podcast, because I would love to promote it to more of you degenerate fucks. So
Incarcerated. Thank you guys both. Marcus,
Thank you.
great insights.
Thank you.
And